After 2 straight street races, the American Le Mans Series moves to the high desert of Utah. The concrete canyons have been replaced by the high-speed and wide-open spaces of Miller Motorsports Park. And for the drivers, that's all right. A hazy sun and warm breeze welcomes the teams of the 4 classes of the American Le Mans Series to Salt Lake City and Miller Motorsports Park for the Utah Grand Prix, round 4 of the championship chase. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, joined once again by Calvin Fish. And Cal, if yesterday's qualifying session is any indication, we are in for a scorcher today in more ways than one. The closest grid ever in series history.
Greg, there is a feeling of energy in this paddock behind us right now I have never experienced before in the American Le Mans Series. The battle for supremacy in the P2 class is just immense. ACURA, after their debut season, have come back with an even stronger chassis. It's shown its potential. It won the last round at Long Beach, and this race went from a game of checkers to a game of chess. Every move you make has a consequence. Teams are looking at split tire combinations, left to right, front to rear, and as always, fuel strategy will play a key component in the race today. Don't count out those Audis. They're starting the middle of the pack. They have the straightaway speed. They want to lead down into turn 1 today.
And one of the things that this ongoing development has produced really is ever increasing speeds, never more so than here at Miller with a new track configuration. And Cal, if you would, take us around it with the Yokohama track map.
Well, Greg, Miller Motorsports Park is one mega fast racetrack. For the past 2 seasons, we've run the full course as you see on screen right now. But this shaded gray area through the middle, it has gone away. We're just running just the outer loop. It's still mega fast. We have the meat of the racetrack still in place. Some slow corners here. The hairpin, the attitudes, traction control on the prototypes will certainly put to work. So there's a heavy load on the tires, a heavy load on the drivers' necks here. And when they need to take a breath in this thin air and high altitude, you have a chance right here down this long front straightaway. It's 3,500 feet in length.
And with all those changes to the track and all the developments we've been talking about, that means there's some great stories that are building. So let's get down to the pits. And Brian Till with our prototype headlines.
Well, Greg, in P1, it's all about Audi. Now, they start a little further back. Last year, they started in the 4th row, but they won. This year, they start in row 3. But the difference, last year, they were more than 2 seconds off the pole time. This year, only a half a second. So they're definitely improving. They've lost a little weight, found some horsepower in that potent Audi diesel engine, and the Michelin tires working well. So that team and the Audi's looking very strong. In P2, what about the return of Gilles de Ferran? The last time this man stepped out of a race car, he was victorious. He's now back in, and he qualified his prototype P2 Acura on the front row, but he'll start further back. They flat-spotted tires in qualifying. They don't want to take any chances, so we'll start on the last row. So that's what's happening in the prototype class. It is going to be a barn burner today. Let's take a look at GT and Jamie Howe.
Well, in GT2, the competition between Porsche and Ferrari continued as the 2 manufacturers posted the exact same qualifying time. Will Pensler posted the time first, so they got the pole position. Mika Salo and Jamie Malo were set to start right behind him and defend their GT2 championship. But big problems for that team right before the reconnaissance lap could not get fuel into the car, so they will be starting the race here in pit lane. In GT1, the 2 Corvettes continue to race each other and prepare for Le Mans as the Bell Motorsports Aston Martin is still repairing that damage incurred at St. Petersburg, guys.
Wow, for that racing team this season, if they wouldn't have bad luck, they'd have no luck at all. Just terrible. We talked about what a great qualifying effort we had across the field. Right now, we want to have the drivers and the top qualified cars in each of the 4 classes introduce themselves to you. And once again, it is a P2 category car on the overall pole. Here's the BMW starting grid.
Hi, I'm Timo Bernhard. I was born in Hamburg, Saar, Germany.
Hello, I'm Romain Dumas. I was born in Alès in France.
Marco Werner from Ermating in Switzerland.
Hi, I'm Lucas Luhr from Koblenz in Germany.
I'm Olivier Beretta from Monaco, Monte Carlo.
My name is Oliver Gavin. I'm from Yardley Hastings, England.
Hi, I'm Wolf Hensler from Nottingham in Germany.
I'm Jörg Bergmeister from Langenfeld, Germany.
All right, and of course, as always in Speed's live coverage of the American Le Mans Series, we have some great onboard shots we're going to be giving you, and they play a key role in a very special way to get your heart pumping with the thrill of speed. You just have to log on now to speedtv.com. The keyword is ACURA, and take your turn in the driver's seat with Speed Onboard Pass, presented by ACURA. 7 in total. They are going to be a lot of fun to watch as this race unfolds, particularly, Calvin, because a couple are on some cars that are starting back a little bit.
Well, there was a lot of problems there. Guys spinning yesterday, flat spotting tires. We're going to see several cars move to the back of the pack who qualified well. The 26 car, the Andretti Green car, one of the Dyson machines. The 16 car moves to the back. Probably the biggest story, as Brian mentioned, is that 66 car, which has just been sensational there on its debut. They're going to, in fact, look at maybe starting from pit lane, but I think they're out on the course right now, so that's a change of strategy. We spoke to the team just before the off. They thought they were going to start from pit lane, so they gained a little bit of fuel advantage by not doing this pace lap, but they have changed their minds. They're out there. There's Gilles de Ferran making his comeback. Last ran in 2003, and he finished off with a victory, as you know, Greg.
Well, I tell you what, that shot we had of him in qualifying when he went off looked a little bit like Kinzer working the cushion there, and that was an immense off. And there is the car that Jamie was telling us about, the problems for that car. Just unbelievable how this season has unfolded for them. You know, after the dominant year they had, 3 points. That's it.
Incredible. Mick Casalo sitting behind the wheel right now. He will be cussing. He does not like to lose. He does not like to get those bad breaks, so they have a lot of work to do, but don't count them out. They can still get back in this thing.
And the Dyson car at the back, they had a puncture, just a puncture during qualifying. They elected to, because if you change one tire, you can take it and go. They elected to change all 4 and just give it a go. Speaking of which, it is time to give it a go here in the 4th round. Green flag is out. We are underway, and it is Timo Bernhard. But look at the move by the Audi. One on the inside, one on the outside. It is, oh, they got them both up to the front, and John Field comes with them. That turbo engine in the Lola doing the job.
Werner to the inside. Bieler gets wide, struggling for grip. Field right behind them. There's the Porsche that started on the pole, the yellow machine, now in 4th.
Unbelievable. The Audis have done it again. Werner goes to the front, and what a move there by Field. As Pirro got a little wide, Field was able to sneak through. So John Field once again on the start, just a missile.
Unbelievable. John Field never fails to impress. Look at the Penske's. They're way back, 5th and 7th. This is not the start they were looking for.
And of course, Biela is in that second of the Audi.
He's got the lead.
Oh, John Field is absolutely dynamite right now. And that loses it. Werner goes right back around. Cut thrust in the early going.
Look at John Field. He is on fire, Brian.
Just checked in with Lucas Lura. He said they are starting on the hardest compound tire that they have because of the excessive heat today. He said it's going to take a couple of laps before we can get some grip, and that may be very well what you guys are seeing right now, Cal.
Well, the key is he also had to qualify on those tires. You're only allowed to change one of the 4 tires following qualifying, so that may be ominous for the P2 cars. The Audi are able to qualify so strong on hard rubber.
That Intersport team, guys, they had a lot of problems coming into the race weekend during the test session on Friday. They lost the clutch, had to do a lot of repair work on that car. They had a little bit of damage as well, but it looks like they got everything sorted for the race.
I'll tell you what, when John Field snaps the visor down and it goes green, the guy is just amazing in the opening laps. Now we'll see what happens. Boy, he is white with. Werner takes a look to the outside. Now, that out. Ooh, big wiggle by Werner on the brakes heading down into turn 1. That tells you he was feeling the pressure.
He was feeling the pressure. And what about the straightaway speed with the AER engine in the 37 car? Look at Field using all of the road. He is driving 10 tenths and above.
On board with Biela, watching what's unfolding in front of you. You think Frank Biela is going, what is going on here? And meanwhile, here comes the Lowe's Acura, the highest of the Acura cars, the highest of the P2 cars. Right there, the number 15 in the hands of Luis Diaz, who was on a really quick lap in qualifying and had to back out of it because of de Ferran's off in the dirt in the air, and he is trying to show something. On board with the 66, the Panasonic ELS surround car of de Ferran, and he is now up as far as the GT1 class in the 2 Corvettes.
That was a big penalty for these guys to take by having to change tires. Those are the rules. You can only change one. They felt they were unsafe running the tires that took that off yesterday in qualifying, as we saw earlier, so he's trying to make his way through all the other cars. This is the lead.
Field into the lead. He has gone around Werner. John Field Intersport has picked it up. The very exotics car is in the lead. Look at Vila taking a look at Werner as well. And right behind that trio of P1 cars, Diaz is lurking on board with Vila.
There's a hidden agenda for Frank Biela. We understand this may be his last ALMS race of the season for Audi. He's looking for a ride. He'll be at Le Mans. We don't expect to see him again. He wants to prove to management, I've still got what it takes. He's trying to hound that 2 car and get the P1 lead.
And John Field is driving away. He is holding up nobody. Biela now takes a look to the inside of Werner. Not going to happen there, and obviously not going to risk anything, so he just tucks back in behind. But it is Field opening the margin up, then the 2 Audis, then a gap to Diaz, then the first of the Penske cars, 5th overall. Timo Bernhard has got to be blinking his eyes, wondering what has happened. There's been a big change before.
There has, but the key with Timo is he's a big picture player. He can look and see. Do not panic. There's only one P2 car ahead of me. Yes, I started from the point. He's no longer there. But John Field, whatever restrictor was in the AER, I think the mechanics forgot to put it in this morning, because he is flying.
Just incredible, these opening laps. There you see Field, the first car. That's the transition section, where it's now very fast through the part of the track they call witchcraft and up into the attitudes. Field leads it. Werner, Biela, P1 cars, 1, 2, 3. The highest P2 car, Luis Diaz, the number 15 Lowe's Acura, 4th overall. Then Beretta and Hensler, GT1 and GT2 leaders, respectively. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by ACURA, ACURA Advance, and by John Deere. Deere season is going on now. Visit your John Deere dealer today. Speaking of deer season, I think John Field is hunting right now. Unbelievable. That is a huge surprise, but tell you what, John Field and that Intersport Lola is absolutely flying Field in the overall lead here in the American Le Mans Series 4th round, and absolutely wicking it. I'll tell you what, you get on a track like this where it's car control, speed, and bravery, John Field will excel, and boy, is he doing a great job.
He really is. I spoke to him earlier this weekend. He said we're going to go in a different direction with the chassis setup. He said, I really found that I've trimmed the car out too much. I'm going to add some wing. And you think down that front straight out, it hurt you, but he's got speed through the corners too. He doesn't seem to be lagging anywhere. He also said we've been running the car too stiff. We're going to run it a little softer. It's working right now.
Now, keep in mind that there were 4 classes running at the same time, and a great story is building in the GT1 category, the 2 Corvette racing cars, the number 4 entry of Olivier Beretta, who put it on pole, leading the team car of number 3, Johnny O'Connell, and this is sort of a mission for them.
You know, guys, one of the things the guys liked about this new configuration here at Miller Motorsports Park was they felt like it simulated Le Mans much better. Long, sweeping, high-speed corners. It took some of the slower corners out of the middle of the racetrack, and that's exactly what the 2 Corvettes will be doing today. Right now, they're out there on 2007 hard compound tires. They're going to come in at about lap 19, change to 2008 hard compound Michelins to see which one they like better. Then a little later in the race, they'll come in for 2008 mediums, and then later in the race come in for 2008 hard. So with this configuration, it really gives them a leg up in testing for Le Mans. You can't go over there and do a bunch of it, so why not get it done when you got the opportunity? And that's exactly what they're doing this weekend.
And they're also, of course, racing the E85 cellulosic fuel once again. But, oh, John Field, a little wiggle, and he is now starting to feel the pressure. His last lap was a 36.2, but we've got a 36 flat and a 36.1 by the Audis behind him, and you can see now they have caught him as they head through the attitudes, and you can see now you've got Diaz, you've got Bernhard, you've got Leitzinger all queuing up behind. Cal, I think this is going to just get frantic.
It is. It's going to be very frustrating for these P2 cars because they do not have the speed down the front straightaway to really compete with the bigger P1 machines, but they are more nimble, they have more downforce going through these slower corners. So this is where you can see they really have an advantage here. When you get to this front stretch, got a GT2 car up ahead. Look at the speed differential here. This car is just going to get eaten up here by those prototypes, but watch them stretch. Watch that third car in line of the prototypes, the Audi of Biela. He will just stretch it out. In fact, it looked like Biela
has got
around Werner, so there's a change of position there between the 2 Audis.
Field just amazingly stretches that margin back a little bit because Biela was right on his tail coming out of release, the final corner, and Field had a little bit of room going down into turn 1. But now you see Biela coming.
Oh, he's wide.
Oh, he went wide. Biela is tucked underneath. Wondering here, did he make it through? He did. Biela, new leader. Werner now comes up the inside as well. Just got Field offline a little bit, maybe picked up a little junk on his tire, Scout.
He did, and Diaz tries to go to the inside. He takes a slip. Looked like Timo Bernhard has gone around him in that yellow Penske Porsche, so change of a position there in P2. So Field really hanging on now. Those Dunlops, maybe they've gone away a little bit, not hanging up. He got really wide in that corner, Greg, as you saw. Very sandy here, of course. It doesn't give you the grip you're looking for out there.
Field did fend off Werner, though. He does hang on to second, so it was a good piece of aggressive driving that Field was able to put together here. But you can see quickly now, Biela drawn away just a little bit, and then Diaz, it looked like Diaz was trying to pitch his line to set something up, and the car skated on him just a little bit, and traffic coming up in big chunks now.
This is the meat of the GT2 field that the leaders are now having to go through. You have to be so careful. These guys are in their own race, and they need more of the racetrack than you do. They don't have the downforce, of course, of the prototypes. They need to use all of the road to get through the corners. They've got to be looking in their mirrors, but sometimes you get lost as a faster car. Look at this. Diaz to the inside of Field. Then the P1 car just takes off. That's a difference in class there we're looking at. Meanwhile, Diaz under pressure now from one of the Penskes.
And keep in mind, Werner did get around Field in that traffic, and a big move there as Bernhard has got around, but he got up underneath that Ford GT, and a big plume of dirt being raised in the air. That's dealing with multi-class traffic. Incredibly exciting, and something just came off. I don't know if that was off of Field's car or it was just a piece that was laying on the track. He kicked up.
Dave Murray in that G40 that the cars went around. So David has been around for a long time. He's going to try and get out of the way, but you can't just evaporate. You need a piece of the racetrack, and that's something the prototype cars have to be patient with.
May have that damage may have come off the back. If you did, you can see that left rear, one of those supports right behind that tire. So apparently he got tinked somewhere.
Well, certainly there's going to be a lot of frustration here when you have the different classes mixed up together. That is what this form of racing is all about. 4 races within one. We're hearing there may be some problems with the 6 car. They're looking for their 3rd win in a row here, and here you see it. Sasha Masson, of course, he's won this race the last 2 years.
Well, it's so easy to do. You get caught up in traffic. All right, now Field has had Bernhard go by, and you can see Diaz trying to figure out a way by John as well. John, of course, racing hard, trying to hold position here, but obviously that great speed at the front maybe used the car up a little bit, trying to maintain that pace, but boy, was it spectacular. And here's where you talked about it, the frustration sets in, because those P2 cars work so hard and so effectively to get onto the back of the car, and it just drives away. Field opens the margin up once again and drives away, but down in the braking zone, boy, he got right up alongside Bernhard. Boy, that engine is working incredibly well in that car right now, but this, now into the twisty bits, is where that's going to drive away just a little bit. And of course, tires, likely the issue there as well. May have just used them up a little bit too much here in that brilliant and exciting run to the front here at Miller Motorsports Park. Along with modern technology in the paddock is some great history. This is the Norman Meteor 3. It's on display. It was built in 1938, and in 1940, on a 10-mile circle on the Salt Flats just west of here in Wendover, Utah, it averaged for 24 hours 161 miles an hour, just looping around on a 10-mile salt track. That is a real piece of history, and we are under a caution here at Miller Motorsports Park. The report is some debris, and that's the piece that came off the back of John Field's Intersport Lola, and obviously we saw a little bit of damage as well to one of the winglets on the front of the car. So when they got into that traffic, there was some things happening out there, but that chunk right, if somebody runs a little wide, they're going to hit that, and it's a pretty sizable piece. There's John. You can see the back of that where the pieces come off, and the left front corner also has some issues. But during the break that we were in, he had a little bit more excitement unfold for him, and he's dropped back even further at this stage. Here it is, Cal.
There we see going into the Black Rock hairpin. He just tries to make that fast move to the outside. Maybe got caught out with where the Penske was braking and just looped it around. A little bit too much rear brake bias. Here we see another look at it. Right under the tail, he jogs to the outside on the brake, turning the steering wheel. You just lose rear grip at that point. And what a fine run he had. I love John Field. He just grabs a race car by the scruff of the neck and just drives it for all it's worth. Great few laps there for John Field and that whole Intersport group.
Now, you know he lives for those moments.
He does. He doesn't have a lot of respect for anyone else out there. He said, I'm here to play, I'm going to do it. I don't care what your agenda is.
You bet. You know that those laps up in the front right there, he has had a grin. That grin and that helmet was ear to ear, no question. There's a guy who's been in a little bit. Gilles de Ferran continues his march up through the pack, now up to 8th overall, 6th in the P2 category. Remember, started well back in the pack due to that tire change. What a story they have been arriving here. The very first time this car hit the track in the session here on the test session on Friday, Gilles set the fastest time. And certainly, also, we had some great runs by teammate Simon Pagenaud. Now, after being out of the car since 2003, he got an opportunity to be a car owner, but he also opted to drive. So we had to ask him, why?
There's many reasons why I think I got back in the cockpit. I think, you know, first of all, I think I wasn't really looking for a job just as a driver, you know. But I think this opportunity is very unique, you know, to be able to own a factory supported team with ACURA, who are people that I've worked with for the better part of a decade. You know, having our own team and being back in the cockpit is a unique opportunity for me. It's an honor for me. I mean, we're just a young team starting out, and to be able to share a racetrack with a legendary teams such as, you know, Rogers operation and the Audi operation and so on and so forth, for us is a great honor.
You know, you take a look at the personnel that he's put together in that team, from John Anderson down, sort of the cream of the crop, and from a lot of different series, but still incredibly impressive that they hit the track first time out faster than anybody else.
Yeah, I had such a smile on my face yesterday. Yes, the car had been quick through testing. We went out for qualifying. They weren't the first car out, so there was really nothing there. But the first qualifying lap that Gilles de Ferran did, he went straight to the top of the charts. And here we see strategy already, both Audis in.
Frankie Biela pulls in, and right around him, Marco Werner. It's tight down here because the pits were in reverse order from the way they were running on the racetrack. Very quick pit stops these should be. It won't take long to put full fuel in. They haven't burned that much off, and interestingly enough, they're going to go for tires at least here on Marco Werner's car. I look back at Frankie Biela's car. They'll take Michelin rubber there as well. So right now, a routine stop up here, but this one's going to be a battle of the pit crews. The 6 is in as well. You see them right back behind, and the 2 car out first, then the 1 car right behind him. You see the Porsche Spider back there, the Penske car. Sasha Maassen finishes his stop and back on track.
Well, we certainly know that the Audis do not get the fuel stints that the P2 cars do, so they were going to be really tight on 2 stops here today. I think the 6 car was in because of the off. Otherwise, I think they'd have probably stayed out on course.
The 62 Ferrari we also see stopping because of their problems and stuck in pit lane. Obviously, why not? You're at the back anyway.
Well,
try and open up your windows.
That's a real key there, Greg, because I think a GT2 car, if they had poor track position, such as the 62 machine had, you're very close at this point with 2 hours, 24 minutes in the race left to do not on just 1 more stop. We hear about 1 hour 10 per fuel load, so if they get a bit more yellow, they may be able to be good for just 1 more stop to the checker today.
Well, when you're that far deep in the pack, might as well roll the dice and see what unfolds. And that team, I think they'll do about anything right now to try and get back on track in defense of that championship so dominant last year. Great crowd on hand here at Miller Motorsports Park, and an absolutely beautiful day here in the Utah High Desert. And some great racing has been unfolding. We're under caution right now, but certainly we will be back to green flag. And here is another look at the 2 Audis in the field car going to the front early. We'll be back. To get your heart pumping with the thrill of speed, log on now to speedtv.com. The keyword is ACURA, and you can take your turn in the driver's seat with Speed Onboard Pass, presented by ACURA. Welcome back, everybody. On board with a look at the number 18 VC Racing Porsche, one of the newest entries in the American Le Mans Series this year. First time out for the second car from the VC team. Literally just got the car, picked it up on the way to the track. So when they hit the track on Thursday in testing, that was it. They were literally getting their first time turning a wheel. Now we're going to hop on board. This is the number 8, the Yokohama BP, British Petroleum, and Castrol Mazda P2 car. Ben Devlin behind the wheel. Very, very talented driver.
They had a great test out here a couple of weeks ago and felt very confident coming into this race. But again, that P2 bar has certainly been raised. It's really hard for a smaller operation like this to compete at the level of Penske and Acura right now.
Also want to hop on board. This is Scott Sharp now, the PATRON ACURA HIGHCROFT team had that great win at Long Beach. Early in the race, we had a radio report that they were maybe having some trouble with traction control, but seems to be okay.
It does, and we went on board with them a short while ago, and it seems to be cleaned up. One thing you see the drivers here really working that steering wheel hard. When you got hot tires on and you run around slow under caution like this, you pick up the little balls of rubber that have been used up off the race tires right now, and it's really important when you go back to green that you get those cleaned up. Otherwise, you're going to struggle for grip for a lap or two.
You know, this area is known for motorcycle racing, and when the American Le Mans Series came here a couple of years ago, it was, you know, what's the crowd's going to be like? Well, every year, this type of racing has been garnering massive fans here, and the crowd count is going up and up, and this year, a very nice crowd is on hand. Great to see as this area realizes American Le Mans Series races is something very special indeed. There's Devlin, getting back in the order just a little bit, currently 13th overall, 9th in class, and it is a world-class facility. That's the clubhouse. You can buy memberships to run here, and that's your clubhouse. Pretty nice. Meanwhile, green flag is out, and man, a nice time by Diaz right down to the inside. They are side by side, and here comes Sharp alongside Leitzinger.
Well, Acura is certainly showing some horsepower this year. They felt last year that the Porsches had the edge, but right there you saw it.
Oh! Sharp goes around and Fittipaldi caught up in it. Now, I don't know, a broken left rear on Sharp's car, and I don't know whether he got bumped by somebody as he was trying to make that move.
Let's go.
Oh, and there is the number 11. That is the Viper. I think you saw the bodywork and pieces of parts laying all over the track and just looped it. Meanwhile, there is Sharp. Oh, big damage.
This is devastating. These boys are second in the championship right now, so this is a devastating blow to not only the HIGHCROFT team, but Acura in general.
To the back there. Slow it down. Slow it way down, mate. Sorry about this. Slow it down. Bring it in.
Calming voice of Rob Hill there, the team manager. He has so much experience, won championships with Ganassi, and of course led these boys to their first victory at the last race at Long Beach. What a blow.
And the problem for him is it happened in turn 1, which means 3 miles to get around to the pit lane.
We're under caution, so the key is here. But I mean, there's so much damage there, Greg. I mean, this is not a quick fix, if they can fix it at all. So the key now for the boys is to look at how much damage there is. You got to do 70% of the distance achieved by the race winner. So they'll look to see if they can do a fix that is quick enough to get them back out and score some points today.
Just a horrible blow for this team.
Greg, I just checked in with Duncan Dayton before that last caution, and they were very pleased with the progress of the car. They said that Scott had been turning some of the fastest laps among the P2 competitors, but these restarts, a lot of times we like to say yellows breed yellows, and you get those cars bunched up, everybody fighting for a position down in that first corner, and you have things like this. The team set up here, but we saw on camera the damage pretty extensive. They'll do what they can do, but as Calvin said, 70% is what you're looking for at minimum, and they're going to have to work to get this car back out there to get those laps in the book.
Well, David Brown was very frustrated after qualifying, but first of all, let's look at the replay. Going down into turn 1, now Scotty looks like he just lost it there on entry, trying to get late on the brakes, and then got clouded as he was turned around. So I didn't see any contact initially. Hard from that aerial view to see. Here we go again. He's down on the inside, a little bit of lock up there. Now he's maybe trading some paint with a Dyson car on the outside, spins it around, and then takes the hit that does the damage to the left rear corner, Christian Fittipaldi. So it's 2 Acura cars finally coming together.
The question also is, of course, what kind of damage was done to the Andretti green car of Fittipaldi? Nothing as substantial, it would appear. Now it's hop on board.
On board with Sharpie. Here he comes. He's diving down to the inside. Let's listen. On the brakes. almost like a lazy spin. I mean, that is so surprising. He looked to be totally under control, but you can never really feel the total dynamic of a car as you're on board there. Scotty was certainly feeling it, and he's feeling this. This is disappointment.
Still just limping his way around, trying to make it back. And a long, long ways to go with that, as obviously this has produced a caution. Now, that does have some implications on some other classes, some other cars. Won the Audis again in terms of fuel windows. This is something that is certainly going to help. And the 26 has been in. Fittipaldi right back out in that speed. So obviously the damage there, hopefully, somewhat minor.
This won't be too bad because he's going to catch up to the field. I believe he stayed on the lead lap. He's got more fuel on board. Strategy will be a key with those boys now.
As we take a look at our class leaders here, it is Diaz in P2 out front overall. Keep in mind in that GT2 category, this yellow may be playing very nicely into the hands of a certain number 62 Risi Ferrari, who may be playing a little bit of a strategy game to get themselves right back into the hunt here in Utah. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, and by Michelin, a better way forward. Welcome back, everybody, under our second caution here in the relative early going here at Miller Motorsports Park. And we've had some activity down the pits. Let's check in first with Brian Tittle.
Scott Sharp has managed to get his injured number 9 Acura back to pit lane, but the damage significant. Lower A-arm, the upright on the left rear, the CV. So this is going to be a long, long fix for this team. They're going to try to effect repairs. We keep talking about 70% to get points. That's what this team will be working for today. Meanwhile, the 45 of Wolf Hensler, the leader in GT2, also came to pit road during this full course caution. Tires and fuel and back on track. But this is going to be a long repair down here for the guys at HIGHCROFT Racing.
One of the things.
The 26 car also came into pit lane after that damage. The crew thinks it was just body damage. The problem, though, is that they came in when the pits were closed. They will be assessed a penalty, but not until they go back to green. The crew is not sure if it was just body damage, so they're about to bring him back in just to check, make sure everything's all right when they go back to green.
Well, one thing with these ACURA chassis, last year, the serviceability, this is a revised Courage tub, still is the Courage tub underneath, and they kind of tweaked it to really get up to speed quickly last year. It wasn't really serviceable, and meaning if there was any damage or a component failed, it took forever to fix. One thing that Nick Worth, the engineer, has really worked hard on is improving that so the guys can work on the car in pit lane and change some of those pieces a lot quicker.
Tear the car apart and stop racing? Okay, we'll take care of that.
Well, listening to a little bit of the radio transmissions there from Christian Fittipaldi back in the crew, I'm sure discussing whether he thinks that's fair for that penalty. That's how it is sometimes as we take a look at Gilles de Ferran here as well. Now, why don't you please keep in mind you need to check out AmericanLeMans.com and its all-new video homepage that includes exclusive content for the series and its new partner, SpeedTV.com. That's AmericanLeMans.com, the most comprehensive video coverage in series history, both on and off the track. Give you one more look here at the incident from Scott Sharp's perspective. And again, damage to that left rear. They are in the pits. We're going to take a break. Speed has a way to get your heart truly pumping with the thrill of speed. All you need to do is log on now to SpeedTV.com, keyword Acura, and take your turn in the driver's seat with Speed Onboard Pass presented by Acura. And still working on the 26 car is back in. No, that's the number 9, excuse me. They're still working on that car and trying to get that fixed as quick as possible, obviously, and get them back out to try and make that 70% so that they can pick up some points. And you can see Luis Diaz is leading and is backing off of the pace car, and that is because we anticipate going green this time by.
Well, again, it's going to be imperative for the guys who have not stopped for fresh tires here to try and clean up that rubber so when they get down into the first turn, they have grip. That may have been a consequence for Scott Sharp on that last restart. Here we go. Diaz out front, Acura power, Gilles de Ferran right behind him.
Boy, de Ferran's charge up to the pack from that start way deep due to the tire change, working good. Then there is Marco Werner. And then it is Frankie Bila next in line as they come through. But, of course, now all jumbled up and mixed up in traffic as well as we head down into the first turn called Sunset Bend here at this beautiful and very fast Miller Motorsports Park.
Marco Werner got the lead in the P1 class in the pits. Remember, Bila pitted fractionally before his teammate, but it's the number 2 car that's out front right now in terms of P1.
And you can see there is that orange, black, and white Intersport machine of John Field. Certainly now still in the hunt. 5th overall, 3rd in the P1 class. And you have to wonder if maybe these cautions and the like, giving those Dunlops a chance to cool down a little bit. He certainly looks racy again.
He is very racy right now, putting the pressure back on the Audi. He dives to the inside, sideways. Biela tucked back down. So John Field is just giving these Audis fits here today.
That's why you do it, though, isn't it?
Well, guys, normally the drivers of those Audis love these restarts because they get a great jump, but right now we talked about they're on a hard tire, and that tire's going to take several laps to come in. The other thing I spoke to the team about is downforce. They're running very little of it here. They're looking for the speed down the straightaway, but so on these restarts, without downforce in these cold, hard tires, it's going to take several laps before that Audi feels comfortable underneath the driver. So right now, John Field really being able to pounce on those 2 diesel-powered monsters in front of him.
And let's go back and see what's going on in the GT2 category. We hop on board the number 45 of Wolf Hensler, who, of course, put this car in pole in a dead heat with Jamie Mello in that number 62 Ferrari. And Hensler has pitted. And obviously, well, I'll tell you what, they have been running incredibly strongly here throughout the start of this one. And right now, trying to see if he can't get by that Ferrari in front of him at this stage.
Well, classic Porsche-Ferrari battle, and this is really closed up this year, as we saw in qualifying. Identical times in qualifying, down to the thousandths of a second. And here you see down this straightaway, not much to choose them. Ferrari in front, here comes Hensler. They've had 3 poles this year. And, of course, the Flying Lizard team had that brilliant victory in the opener at the 12 Hours of Sebring.
Interesting, some of the runs here by some of the other cars in the GT2 category here in the early going. The 21 of Milner, the Panos, 3rd. The 28, the Riley Corvette. Eric Kern doing the driving in 4th.
Greg, you know, the TAFEL Ferrari so strong in the last 2 rounds on those street circuits, and at Long Beach they won it with tire strategy. So I talked to Tommy Sadler at Flying Lizard and asked him if this new configuration was easier on the tires here with fewer corners on the racetrack. He said absolutely. The tire advantage that the Ferraris had, we feel like it's gone. We're going to be really strong today.
It's just an interesting little race here right now, because if the 45 can get around the 62, that could be huge.
It is, because he's going to put Mika Salo down a lap. Remember, Mika pitted, and I don't understand why he lost that much track position. He may have got trapped behind one of the prototype cars and essentially gone down the best part of a lap to Wolf Hensler. Remember, when the yellow comes out, that can happen within the lower classes in terms of not the overall leaders. They can get split up, and Mello's really feeling the pressure. He needs to stay in front of Hensler, which is the 3rd car in shot right now.
Which is exactly what he did, and now splitting him as a result of that is, I believe, that is the number 5 VC Porsche. And that car right now is doing exactly what Salo and Mello would like him to do, and that is to sort of blunt things just a little bit. But the 71 in the hands of Dominic Farnbacher, again, playing a very, very good game here in the early going. They're back a ways, there's no question, but they sit in 2nd spot right now, and they have shown a keen ability so far this season to be able to play strategy very effectively. Here's a look at the team car. That's the number 73, and that car back for the full season. That's a great piece of news. Not only team owner Jim Tafel behind the wheel, but Alex Figge, of course, ran the American Le Mans Series a couple of years ago, and has also been very effective as an open-wheel driver in Atlantic's Champ car. That's a team that's back for the rest of the season, and here is the 71. What a year they've had.
They have 2 in a row on the street course, so going for 3 in a row here. Dominic Farnbacher behind the wheel. He's currently running 2nd, but right now he has not made a pit stop. So strategy, they've won some races on strategy, certainly on those street races. Didn't change tires at Long Beach. What a brilliant victory that was for Tony Dow and the boys. And they had an off yesterday, very unlucky, not the fault of their drivers, but Ollie Gavin had a spin, ran back across the front of the bows of this Ferrari, did some damage. They lost the whole practice session right before qualifying, and that was critical. They qualified a little bit further down in the pack, so they're trying to work some magic here to get back to the front.
The Bell Micro Ferrari Well, I'll tell you, it's been an awfully effective switch for that team after starting last year running the Porsches, and obviously Porsche has up their game, but this team decided, well, let's give the other Ferraris a try. They look very strong, and they have been very effective here in the early going. There's the paint house, and again, just a great story. They've made some interesting changes here. The season started, they have a new front end on the car, some new aerodynamics, but also for this race at least, they've decided to try Dunlop tires. They put those tires on the car, running third right now, and a competitive third at that. Obviously, they may have found something.
Well, they certainly felt they needed to make a change, and that was a big decision for Tom Milner and the PTG group, because they've run on Yokohamas for so many years, so that is a huge decision. But right there, what a run these boys are having here today. Eric Cohn, who's been drafted in by Lou Gelati to run as one of 3 drivers here, really having a great run, Jamie.
That's right, the Lou Gelati-led LG Motorsports team, those guys have done a lot of development work in between Long Beach. They've taken a significant amount of weight off the car. It's the first time that those restrictors are running at the proper weight on the car. Back in the Panos PTG pit, those guys, I just checked in with Tom Milner, and they said the car doesn't feel quite right now. They're having a little bit of problems. They're about to bring it in for a pit stop, and it looks like a driver change as well.
All right, well, we're coming up on that 2 hours to go, and once we get past and into that 1 hour 59 anything, driver changes are on.
That's right. No driver can do more than 2 hours, so that is really a critical factor in making those pitfalls and changing drivers.
It's great to see as we take a look at our GT2 top 5, some of those names up there. Welcome back, everybody, to the American Le Mans Series. And big developments going on in terms of a new program called the Green Challenge. And the American Le Mans Series works in partnership, as you can see, with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Energy and SAA International to incorporate green racing principle. It's the only racing series that is recognized by those groups as a green racing series. And really, some amazing things that are unfolding. And this Green Racing Challenge is going to be implemented coming down the road. And CEO and President of ALMS, Scott Atherton, tells us a little bit about some of the challenges they're finding in implementing that. So it's going to be interesting to watch that unfold, obviously, as that gets implemented. There's an interesting complex formula that's going to get involved. But what it's all about doing is showing people that going green in racing can not only provide good R&D, research, and the rest, it also can be entertaining.
It really can. It's drawn a tremendous amount of attention, not only within the motorsports world and press, but throughout the whole country. Everyone's picking up on the fact that the American Le Mans Series really taking this green initiative. And talking about green, look at that green and white car. Ben Devlin, once again, strutting his stuff here at Salt Lake City. He did it last year, frustrating some of the bigger teams. Right now, feeling the pressure from Penske and Dyson. 3 Porsches right behind this little Mazda that could.
And Leitzinger and Chris Dyson in those 2 Dyson cars have been having their own good scrap up. And a matter of fact, last lap, Butch was able to sneak by Chris, and he is really putting the pressure on right now on Sasha Maassen. And obviously, Ben Devlin, once again, just driving the wheels off that car. Well, I'll tell you, he is something.
He really is. He gives it his all, and he's just a tremendous little driver. Over from England, now based here in Columbus, Ohio. He wants to make this his future, and he's really showing tremendous speed. Here we see Maassen looking to the inside. Ben will not give him his way through. He realizes that he doesn't have these many opportunities to show his stuff, and after the 2 street races where they really just tried to behave, score some points, they were relishing the fact of coming here to the wide open spaces of Miller Motorsports Park.
And this is for position. I mean, this is for 4th right now. Devlin has it. Oh, and Leitzinger ducks down underneath. He is inside Maassen. Maassen trying to stay put. Chris Dyson coming along. He got a run. I think he's going to get Maassen as well. He did.
Superb move by Butch Leitzinger. Just read the traffic perfectly. Maassen really wasn't at fault there. He had nowhere to go. Trying to sell Ben Devlin, tee him up. Meanwhile, both Dysons tucked to the inside of the Penske.
Boy, and Butch just squeezes underneath the 61 Reese car and does manage to get through, as does Chris, and eventually Maassen as well. Got that car moved offline just a little bit. So now we'll see what Butch has for Ben.
Well, he seemed to be a master of really working things out and strategizing a move. So he will work on Ben here. He looks to the inside. Ben tucks to the inside. Can Butch get back on the power earlier? Tuck to the left side as they accelerate down to this next corner. He's got a run here. He'll look to the inside, but Ben will defend once again.
Lots of discussion after the opening few rounds about defensive versus blocking, and that's being watched very closely. And it all comes down to, is your move just a defensive line in, or is it a reactionary line? And that was a beautiful job by Devlin.
Tim Mayer was with us in our meeting last night. He was the chief steward, and he said, I don't want it to get dangerous. You are allowed to defend your position on the racetrack, but you're not allowed to weave. And Ben certainly walking that fine line there. And here you see, just got a little bit wide, ran narrow on the entry, didn't get the exit speed. Butch take advantage. Here comes Chris. It's going to be close to for another position. Masson there in the background, the yellow Penske.
Butch did a nice job of setting him up, and Ben just took that bait a little bit, and that was enough. Now that's going to give Masson the inside as well. And well, I'll tell you what, you get offline here just a little bit, that's what can happen. And we understand our number 3 vet has just been in, Brian.
Yeah, Johnny O'Connell in for fuel and tires. Now remember, it's a tire test right now. This is what they're about. Not only winning here, but winning at Le Mans. So that is the 2008 hard spec tire that just went on that car. They'll run it for 19 to 20 laps, come in and do the same thing, and switch to a mediums compound tire, the 4, setting up to do the same right now.
Been a great battle between the 3 and the 4 machine. The 3 car currently on top in terms of 2 wins to 1. So Jan Magnussen and Johnny O'Connell currently have the lead, and for the last few seasons it seems that any luck that was going the Corvette way would always go the way of the 4 squad. So great to see the 3 team finally having a strong season.
Meanwhile, checking what's going on in the GT2 category, there is a look at the 28 of Eric Kern. But you will notice here, we've got 3 cars in a battle for position, very close. The Panos of Milner, the black and red car, there is the number 28 vet of Eric Kern. And right behind them is the 87 of Mark Bassing. And those cars are all going at it for position right now. That is the battle for 3rd.
And it's a great one. Mark Bassing is the Porsche driver who really tests all of these race machines before they get shipped. He is the test driver over at Weissach, so he has a lot of miles in these type of race cars, and he's strutting his stuff here to Farnbacher Lowe's, one of the premier Porsche prep shops in the country. Here you see the white car ahead here. He's going to be really working that Corvette, trying to pick up a draft down this front straightaway and be in position to make a dive down into turn 1.
And even more impressively, we were on board with the 45 car that is coming up to try and put this tandem, this trio, really down a lap. And now you've got one of the P2 cars mixing it up in the midst as well.
Timo Bernhard having to thread his way very carefully through this pack. You can not afford to touch anyone. It'll break one of those dive planes, lose some downforce. You're going to be handicapped for the rest of the race. A great job by Timo there, showing his patience.
Field coming up through as well. Look at Timo. Remember the overall pole sitter. Oh, look at this. Kern wanted to get underneath the Panos for the spot. Couldn't do it. But look at the cutback move right there by the Porsche. The orange window tinting, trying to get into the hunt as well. Meanwhile, the number 45 just trying to work through this group. We're on board with the 45 of Hensler. And each pass he makes with that bet, he just got around the 87. He puts those guys a lap down. So they are having just a stunning run right now. Up and underneath, through the attitudes. A little bit of elevation change on this track. There's Field, gets around the rest of the group. And it is still the Panos sitting in 3rd. 2 cars up from this view, and then the Corvette right in front of Kern, holding on to 4th.
We understand from race control that the number 8 car, Ben Devlin, was getting a warning, feeling that it crossed the line there literally in blocking and trying to protect his position there in that battle for P2 honors in the middle of the pack. So he will have got that word to the team, and the team will radio through to Ben, like, be careful next time around if you're trying to protect your position.
Kern floated a little wide, and the 45 of Hensler has gone through and picked them down a lap. Here you go, our class leaders in the 4 different classes running here in the American Le Mans Series. And overall, Luis Diaz in the Lowe's Acura continues to lead overall. A great crowd watching from every vantage point this phenomenal facility offers. Give Dave a piece of your mind. Whether you want to disagree with NASCAR, agree on open wheel, weigh in with motorcycles, or just talk dirt. Simply call in or email to be a part of Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain, live tonight, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. You know where to find it, right here on Speed. On board right now with Marco Werner. Boy, what a interesting development. They are sitting second overall, leading in P1 right now, and about 4.5 seconds back of Luis Diaz, who, you know, all the promise we've seen from the Lowe's program, where they had a great run here last year until they had some problems in the Lola chassis, now having the same chassis as everybody else. But this team really felt that they were going to be able to show something, and I think they've done that.
They certainly have, and they just needed to execute. They had a brilliant run at Sebring, of course, that counted for nothing because they finished second there on the road. And then in post-race tech, the airbox failed, meaning it's meant to stall the engine out when you cut off all the air. There was a leak. Just a very harsh racetrack, and of course something to break loose, and a slight leak. And after 12 hours, that is a crushing blow. And they just really haven't caught a break this year, but all of the pieces in place.
Well, here you take a look. This is the 73 Alex Figge. We talked about this car from TAFEL Racing coming back. He has an off, and he's got damage, and it looks like that's towed in pretty bad as well, and he's just trying to nurse it back. Something's broken.
Yeah, it looks like front tooling on either side is broken, and the wheels are towing themselves in. So.
The evaluation damage, well, you do a driver change. Fueling's finished. Chris will make an observation of what you want to do.
Yeah, the radio communication there between the crew chief and Alex Figge, the driver. One thing is, from a driver's perspective, give me as much information as you can. What do I need to do? What are you going to do when I get it back there? And they passed the point in the race where they could do a driver change and not be penalized. So an hour and 46 left, no problem getting Jim TAFEL behind the wheel.
Interesting little battle unfolding right here. You just saw Eric Kern in the Corvette go away. Here is Mark Bassling in the number 87 Farnbacher Lowell's entry. That car doing a very solid job, but the 62 of Salo, playing that strategy a little bit, has run them down, and this is the battle for the 18th overall, but 5th in class spot, and of course right in front of them is Kern in the Corvette, so making the battle for 4th.
It is, and really the best that he can hope for today is a second place finish, because I think what happened with the 45 car, they caught a big break when we went to caution at a certain point in the race. They got split from the rest of the GT2 field, and it also enabled them to do a pit stop. So even though the 45 car is leading, they have extra fueling over some of their competitors as well. So Mika Salo starting from pit lane, just trying to turn the tide here with the Risi squad.
Boy, using up all the track in doing so, and looks like Bassey got a run on Curran, so he did. So we have a new car has moved up and picked up the 3rd spot. Salo's going to try and go with him, and that Porsche behind them both with the orange stripe is Salo down underneath. He's done it as well, and it's moved around Eric Kern. But that Porsche I was talking about, the Flying Lizard entry with the orange windshield stripe, is Johannes van Overbeck, and that car is in this mix as well. 6th in class right now, but there's really nothing between these cars.
No, it's a great battle, and hats off to Eric Cohen to take this car and really show its stuff at the front of the pack. Is tremendous on his first run with the team.
Meanwhile, take a look right here. That was that big plume of dirt, apparently. Kern running just a little wide, feeling the heat, Cal.
He did, just got a little bit off his typical line there, and it's a little dusty off line, no grip there, and just ran a little bit wide, but good recovery. Obviously, Bassey got his run, and then Salo has now got around him as well, and he's going to feel the pressure from Van Overbeck here in a moment, I feel.
I think you've got a couple things going on with that LG Pro Long Tube Headers vet. Kern getting behind the wheel with an absolutely superb talent, but also, as Jamie talked about, losing the weight, and that certainly has brought some new pep, if you will, to that performance of that car. And now, right in the middle of this GT2 battle we're watching, here comes your overall race leader. That is Luis Diaz, the Lowe's Acura, and right behind the white Porsche, you're going to see the gentleman second in class leading in P1, Marco Werner, and that R10 TDI Audi still right there in the hunt. And in fact, in traffic, as we have seen, certainly on the street circuits, Werner, you remember not long ago, 5 seconds back, it's 2.5 seconds now.
He's right there, and this is where the Audi will literally, it's like a Pac-Man down this front straightaway. It just eats up race cars. Tremendous torque and power down this front straightaway. But that's what it's all about. That's what P1 is all about. High horsepower, not as nimble through the corners, and it's a trade-off.
And it's providing great entertainment for the crowd here at Miller Motorsports Park. An absolutely beautiful day. Low 90s, but it's a dry heat. Luis Luis Diaz continues to lead here at the Utah Grand Prix, 4th round of the American Le Mans Series, but there is the Audi in 2nd place, and that is the margin. It is down now to 1.3 seconds as Werner is definitely hooked up and coming after that ACURA. Now that ACURA, of course, at the most recent round in Long Beach, qualified on the outside of the front row, so they have certainly shown speed. You talked about their great run at Sebring. They have been fast in every race. The results necessarily haven't been there, but they're showing it right now. But boy, Marco Werner, and the question is right now, I think clear track, Diaz is going to be able to handle it, but if they hit another group of traffic, here we go.
Exactly, and on the last lap, Marco Werner was just 0.3 faster than Luis Diaz, so pretty clear run there, 35.3 to a 35.6, and right now Diaz now jumps down into the 33, so he's starting to strut his stuff. A good second clear of Werner on that lap. Currently running 3rd is de Ferran.
Oh, and here's a tough development. This is one of the VC Racing cars, ran over a hose apparently in pit lane, and this is a penalty, Jamie.
The 5 car was in pit lane, guys, and as they were fueling and changing the tires, the air hose drug across the ground, nearly pulling over the entire arm structure. Everything's connected to one. Their sister car came in as well, and that's a brand new 08 chassis just delivered at the track. This week turned its first wheel on Friday in the test session. They came in, had a big problem. They couldn't get the car up on the air jack to change the tires, so a long pit stop for those guys.
That's a tough break. Craig Stanton, who is a champion in GT racing and is a driver coach. And here's what happened, Cal.
Here we see it. He comes in, and he's actually on his way out. And, I don't know what happened there. The air hose is obviously in the way, so a little bit of lack of orchestration there. And it's tough when you go from a 1-car to a 2-car team. They don't run a regular 2-car operation, but they intend to for the rest of the season. It's difficult, and Craig came in overnight, raced yesterday in another sports car race at Laguna Seca, so hasn't been working with the team all weekend long, and that could be an issue also.
You mentioned the 007 Aston Martin has pulled in and parked it apparently. Jamie, I understand you know what's going on there.
That's right. The 007 car came into pit lane, thought it was going to be a routine pit stop, but they had an oil sensor that they're not sure if it was going bad or not, but the car was smoking. It could be very serious. This team does not have any kind of a spares package going on right now. They just haven't arrived from the UK yet, so they're going to retire the car and just play it safe.
Well, they lost a motor in testing after just a lap, so this is a big blow to this team. Switched to the Vantage chassis, which is the purpose-built GT2 car here at Long Beach. And this is a great little team. Johnny Cocker's a great young shoe who's behind the wheel, sharing it with Lord Paul Drayson, so I think they'll come on strong. They're here to learn, and they're all part of that green initiative as well, running the 85 fuel.
Now we're on board with the number 18 car, which is the second of the 2 VC entries. This is the brand new one, the Hughes entry. Nicky Pastorelli behind the wheel, who is a European open wheel shoe who did some champ car races and acquitted himself quite well. Very, very talented group of drivers in this car, but we understand they're going to be brought in for a penalty. This one because 10 miles an hour over the speed limit pit lane.
Yeah, that's a little tough. And again, you're just learning the ropes when you come to a series for the first time. There's a lot of rules and regulations. There's a lot of communication that has to happen between everyone. And Nicky Pastorelli is certainly a great little driver. His teammate, Brazilian teammate, Cara Patoso, he was a world karting champion. He started the race, and more problems for John Field, it looks like.
Well, and you live on the edge.
Yeah.
Those things tend to happen sometimes, and that's where John Field, that's his envelope right there, is on the edge. And sounds like he had a problem maybe with the steering.
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Go ahead and say it again, please.
Brian Alder, the crew chief. See the shaking of the head. That's typically a lot of frustration. So many electronics run through the steering wheel, of course, and he has stalled it. Maybe trying to find the neutral that you see coming off the last turn. Maybe dropped the wheel, spun it around. And it'll be interesting to see if he is stuck, whether that's a dangerous enough spot to see a full caution period.
We just lit him up too much coming out of the front straight.
Just hard on the power, and I know he's been having problems with the traction control. It's way too harsh, way too aggressive, and he said we're quicker when we turn it off, which shouldn't be the case. So they're really working hard over the course of this weekend to get that traction control working. That would be one corner where you would need it.
Back on board with the 18, who's somebody off pretty significantly to the right there, just a big cloud of dust, and that was off track. This is the car. They did serve the penalty. There was a quick stop and go, and they are back out. I think what you were alluding to about Carapatoso was a couple of drivers he beat in that year he won the World Karting Championship. Fairly significant names.
Yeah, Briscoe and Alonso. I'm sure people have heard of those two guys. So he certainly has some great credentials. Gilles de Ferran made a big fuss of him at the driver's autograph session that we have every weekend here at the American Le Mans Series. Came down and said, I did a go-kart race with this guy. He went from 35th to 2nd in a lap. So certainly having Gilles de Ferran talk highly of you means a lot.
This is the number 11, the Viper, the primetime race group entry of Joel Feinberg, and they have just had an abysmal start to the year for a small and extremely dedicated team. They got in here, they had a problem with the engine, then it blew. The long corners here, and they don't have a dry sump oiling system, I understand, so it's starving for oil. They think they may have figured out how to get through the race, but they had no track time. They had to put a new motor in it, and right now I think they're just trying to figure out their way around things because they've had virtually no track time, and obviously Joel pretty significant off. And the 37, it was a no power apparently. Once he stopped, they couldn't get it going again, but clearly they have, and I think we just heard over the radio that they're telling them next time around, come on in.
Yeah, just try and sort things out, see what's going on. We understand that the leader may be close to pitting, who is, of course, Luis Diaz. He has not stopped yet here today. 37 laps currently under his belt. We think they can go about 40, 41 laps with the amount of caution we've seen, so it may be a little bit earlier, but they're certainly looking at their strategy in terms of when to pit and how they need to get to the checkered flag. There's so many computations that have to happen within the team's pit box, and looking at everyone else's strategy and trying to be one step ahead of the game.
Oh, the 9 car as well, we understand, is going to be making its way back on track.
Lana here. Nice job. Keep coming.
That's a good piece of news. And watching Diaz here, he'll just sort of stay to the right. Here comes the 9. Back out on track. David Brad behind the wheel. And on the other end of this long 3,500-foot straight, the number 15 is in. Diaz bringing it in. We'll be turning it over to Adrian Fernandez.
Yeah, full fill, full fill. You need to see the vent.
Luis Diaz is climbing out of the cockpit of the number 15. Luis Fernandez racing. Adrian Fernandez climbing in behind the wheel. This looks like a perfectly routine pit stop. Fuel's going in. Crew's waiting to put on a fresh set of Michelin tires. Adrian and his wife Catalina welcomed their first son Nico on Monday. Adrian spent some time at home on Wednesday, didn't get out here until Thursday to spend some time with the team. He's now in the car, and their crew's getting ready to let go.
This is a team that's got a fair amount of sports car experience, even though it's their second year in the American Le Mans Series, and of course, tremendous amount of just racing experience when you take a look at Adrian's open wheel career as well, and that was a great stop.
Great stop, but it will not be their last pit stop of the day. There's an hour and 32 minutes plus left in this event, we believe, under green flag conditions. About an hour is what these P2 cars are looking at, so they'll need half a tank of fuel to get to the finish.
Boy, that gives you plenty of time when you exit that pit lane to get up to speed here with that long straight down into turn 1. A little careful on those fresh tires. But Fernandez back in the hunt. But that means Marco Werner is your overall leader right now in the Audi here at the Utah Grand Prix. Second overall leading in P2, Gilles de Ferran in the Panasonic ELS surround sound Acura. We're going to step away for just a minute. We'll be right back. About an hour and a half to go. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Acura. Acura, advance. Welcome back, boys. Beautiful views of the Stansbury Mountains here, which is there's mountains surrounding this beautiful Tooele Valley where this track is, right here in the Great Salt Desert. Spectacular location and an equally spectacular facility. And we've seen some pretty darn good racing unfolding as well. And this Marco Werner leading overall right now at this track. And there he is, the Audi working his way up through some of the traffic here in the GT divisions. Finds himself in the lead about a little over 4.5 seconds clear of teammate Frank Villa. And the reason for that, as I mentioned going to break, that it was a 66 Acura from de Ferran Motorsports that was sitting in the second overall spot. Well, they ducked into the pits. And we are on board right now with Simon Pagenaud, who 2 years ago won the Atlantic Championship. Of course, ran Champ Cars last year and has been impressing everybody. every time he takes to the track, this kid is something else.
He really is, and it's a great acquisition, if you'd like to call it that, for Gilles de Ferran for this team. Everyone thought that Gilles may be going with a Stefan Johansson type, someone with a similar mold as Gilles, a little bit later and then with a lot more experience. But Gilles did his homework. He is very impressed that Simon went out and won that former Atlantic Championship in his first year here in the US. And then he spoke to his old friend Derek Walker, who Simon won that Atlantic Championship with, and of course did some Champ Car races with. And Derek and the team had nothing but great things to say about Pagenaud.
And as we watch Pagenaud wheeling that Panasonic ELS Surround Acura around, Jamie, that's the guy you started it. Welcome back.
Gilles de Ferran just climbing out after your very first driver change in a race, after your very first time coming up through lap traffic in a race. How rewarding is it to see this program come to a head today?
I tell you, it's great. I mean, the Acura is running fantastic. You know, I got into trouble a couple of times running a little bit offline when I was behind Diaz at the beginning of the last stint, and I lost a little bit of ground, but then the car was slowly coming back to me. That's why I was catching back to them. And then, you know, a few close calls with traffic, but that's the way it is. Now we now have unleashed our secret weapon. He's in the car now.
When you were in your open wheel days, you were dubbed the professor. What sort of things have you learned about your new sports car so far?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What have you learned about your new sports car so far?
I tell you, it's just you got to be really adaptable, you know. I mean, every lap is a little bit different, you know, the track's a little bit different. You catch traffic in different ways. The car moves around all over the shop, but it's been fun. I played really conservative, particularly in the beginning of the race, because, you know, it's important for our team and for ACURA first just to get to the end. So let's see what we can do. Just try to get to the end here, playing a nice conservative race.
As expected in your first race back after nearly 5 years, you're a little bit out of breath. What are you going to do before the next race to get back in shape?
Well, yeah, funny enough, I'm okay, but you know, the car coughed just in turn 13, and I just brought the car in straight away, and it was like a major panic, and I get more out of breath doing the driver change than driving around.
Right, those driver changes is one thing he was nervous about, but it went flawlessly, guys.
Well, he's been hitting the gym hard. He told me yesterday that he's lost 12 kilos, about 25 pounds or so, and he's about 6 kilos off his fighting weight when he raced for Penske back in '03. So he'll get there, he'll realize, I mean, and he said it's a learning process. We want to learn as a team. We don't want to take any risks here today. We want to finish the race, learn the process, and he'll realize if he was lacking anything in fitness, he will be hitting the gym even harder. He's already done about 2 hours a day.
And you can hear how much he thinks of Simon Pagenaud, saying we've unleashed our secret weapon. He's in the car now. He's very high on this kid, as is another guy who's just joined us in the booth. As I was talking about how good Pagenaud is, he was nodding, is Marshall Pruitt. Marshall, I wanted to bring you in. Obviously, you're the guru of all things road racing here on SpeedTV.com. You get to have, what, a 3-week working vacation over in France.
Tell that to my wife. Great. Yeah, we've covered the race online usually for the week of the race. This year we're extending that almost 2 more weeks. So we're going to be there for the official test day, which is on the 2nd of June. And we'll be there all the way through the race itself with editorial every day, photo galleries, a bunch of exclusive videos too.
Man, not only obviously you're going to be following the ALMS cars that are over there, and you know, that we see all the time racing here, certainly some of the others, but also tech features, which is I think going to be very interesting. And obviously that's such a unique place.
It is. That's what the American Le Mans Series is known for, and Le Mans in general. So the Audi team has been kind enough to help us with explaining a video feature about the differences between their cars that get set up for a regular American track and the long track at Le Mans. Rick Mayer also from Reese's helped us do that for a GT car. And we've delved into other things like data acquisition technology. We know that the fans that watch our racing here really want to know more about the cars. It's anything but spec racing, so we're trying to serve their needs and feed them what they want.
And certainly Le Mans this year, Greg, promises to be a great battle between these guys, the Audis and the Peugeot. I was talking to Manuel Pirro, and I'm not sure if you've heard a rumor of this, Marshall, but we talked about the Peugeots running over there in the LMS series and winning the first few rounds, but he said he believed there's rumor that Peugeot may in fact come up with a new car for this year's Le Mans, which I found unbelievable, to try and get your mileage and learn what can go wrong with the race car, to, you know, bring a new car to the 24-hour.
I've heard that rumor, and I think you, Cal, as veteran racer, know that the last thing you would want to do is bring a brand new car to a race like Le Mans, especially after them doing so well last year. What I've been hearing is we're going to expect to see some radical body differences. The bodywork aero packages will be fairly radical looking on the Peugeot. Porsche as well for the RS Spider. There will be a couple RS Spiders running in the races, and Audi, although they had some stuff last weekend, the Spa LMS round that maybe didn't get quite past the technical regulations. They've been working hard this weekend. Actually, they had a box show up from Germany unexpectedly, and they were asked to try and work through a lot of those new tweaks for Le Mans. So everyone's bringing out all their latest and greatest.
Watching Frankie right there and the race. Now he's going to be one of the drivers running at Le Mans, obviously, that you're going to be following. You know, what kind of stuff can we be expecting when we go to SpeedTV.com in terms of the looks at the ALMS team?
Well, for the ALMS teams, again, they're going to be helping us with a lot of tech features, but we're also going to do some personality features. We're also going to try and get into some of the teams that we don't get to see that run in the Le Mans series, and also just at the 24 hours. So we're going to be doing some great stuff with the Aston Martin team that we hear from fans all the time that miss those beautiful British racing green cars that ran in GT1. Well, now they have not only those, but also a car that's running an LMP1, a Lola Aston Martin, gorgeous V12 sound like the old Jaguars used to have. So we're going to do two really neat things with them. We're going to do some in-car laps with them, and then have the drivers narrate those to really tell the fans at home not just what's going on, but what they're experiencing. So that'll be an absolute exclusive for SpeedTV.com.
That is going to be way trick to watch. Now I got to ask you, once you get back from Le Mans, obviously you're going to be working for the rest of the year, covering all the action on the American Le Mans series as well.
Oh yeah, every single round, plus some of the other special events that the American Le Mans series has. There's a great function going on later in June that we're having in New York to try and get the series out to more people in the New York area. So you bet we're preaching the gospel every chance we can.
And I understand those videos pretty soon are going to be downloadable.
Downloadable. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I certainly live in a portable world, so I have my iPod with me everywhere. We've been really integrating a lot of what we're doing online with SpeedTV.com videos, getting those up to iTunes, so very soon you'll be able to grab those great American Le Mans videos, in-car stuff, race recaps, put them on your portable device, carry them with you wherever you want.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you coming in, and certainly everything that you've been doing here in the coverage on SpeedTV.com. We're going to be watching for you at Le Mans. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
You bet. Now, there's also a lot of action out of the ALMS main series here, including the IMSA Challenge by Michelin, and the first race happened yesterday. A huge field came down the front straight, picked up the green flag and the green and white Porsche of Martin Snow from the pole, got into the early lead, but the battling began in this field behind him. It was intense, a lot of contact, fender rubbing, exciting action, and some big moments. Number 42, Tom Peng, started it off with a big spin, was able to gather it up and get going again, but of course lost a lot of positions. Watch this moment here by the number 0 of Don Pickering. He was able to get away with it in front of a lot of cars. Speaking of a lot of cars, how about 4 abreast? And watch this move, a block pass down to the inside. Got it done, but talk about grinding by to have to pick up positions. And then, how about just getting buried in a sandstorm? The number 36 of Wesley Hoagland gets back on track, but not quite on track. Still had a tire in the dirt, gave it the throttle. Around he went one more time. That's the way it was for some of the field, but up front for Martin Snow, it was a beautiful desert drive as he put together a big win here in Miller Motorsports Park. And that was the third round of the championship, if you will. First race of the weekend. Now, just a little bit earlier today, the fourth round of the championship unfolded. Dino Steiner got the win. Martin Snow didn't have a great race, but Melanie Snow did, right there in fifth. And in an older Porsche, great run for her. Welcome back, everybody. Here are your class leaders here at the Utah Grand Prix. Overall, and in P1, Marco Werner in the Audi. P2 is Timo Bernhard in the Penske Porsche. And there's another Porsche having a bit of a run. That is Leitzinger, who has run wide. He was having a great run, third in class. And obviously pushing very, very hard. And Diaz coming up. That's Fernandez, actually.
Wow. I mean, he was trying to protect. That was full position. He was holding down the third spot. Fernandez, of course, is coming off that pit stop. And he was committed, and Butch closed the door. Tough to tell from that head-on angle as to the closing rates and who was in the wrong there, but have to wait and see if Adrian can continue or whether it got into that right front suspension.
We'll watch it. Carry on.
Just that dive plane was bent up now and is sort of acting as a little winglet, but and it's gone, so that helps. But I mean, in terms of getting it off the car, but certainly not the aero. Watch it here.
As Butch looks to the outside, probably there's a little bit of downforce there behind the Corvette, runs wide, does a good job of keeping it pointing in relatively the right direction here. Steve Kinzer impression off there in the dust, brings it back on. Now watch in the background, you'll see Adrian Fernandez in the 15 machine. As he clears some traffic, he looks down to the inside. Butch, meanwhile, just comes across and closes the door on him. So, you know, there's pretty wide angle there that Butch was taken to the corner. Sometimes you can lose the car in the mirrors with Adrian right down on the inside, but I'm not sure that Butch was aware that Adrian had committed to the turn.
Well, when Adrian made the move, he was a long ways back, and I don't know, it just would seem that you see a car gone off the track. Sure, you want to get by them if you can, but kind of an interesting deal. Meanwhile, Marco Werner, now our overall race leader, has ducked down into the pits, and this will be the driver's change. There is Lucas Luhr ready to go.
Lucas Luhr will be taking over from Marco Werner. Remember, this car, this team, this driver duo has won the last two races that a lot of people said they shouldn't have won on the street circuits, but they did. They put good strategy together as well as good driving and took the victories. They're looking for one here today. Now, this team been reorganized of such. The team got together in the offseason. Brad Kettler and the guys got together and said, let's find the guys that could do the jobs the best. And they had every man on the team try out for every position. So they switched things around a little bit. Brad Kettler said what we ended up with was some guys that were really good at different positions that they hadn't done in the past. Everybody's real happy, and the camaraderie and the competition amongst the teams is intense. Lucas stalls it on the way out, stalls it yet again. This Audi R10 has launch control, but right now seems to be having a hard time getting it back on track.
Yeah, that's very surprising. You very rarely see the Audi not just take off like it's on automatic control. So something may be amiss there with the electronics, and that may be a factor as this race continues. So these boys going for their third straight victory. What a job they did on the two street races, but Lucas Luhr will be a little bit frustrated. Remember, these seconds are precious. We look at how close the racing is here today.
And that pass right there was for position just as Fernandez went by. But did it look to you like Luhr was awfully casual in terms of speed coming out of the pits?
Yeah, and I don't think he's up to speed yet. He's a long way back. Look at that. He's way down.
He kept
There's
looking,
an issue. There's
he
an
kept
issue.
looking down. I thought like he was having a problem.
Now it's up, burst into life there. I don't know whether the pit lane speed limiter was on or something was going on there, but Lucas Luhr definitely lost a lot of time there. A, getting out of the pit lane, and then getting up to speed.
Keep a very close eye on this.
So complex, Greg, these race cars now. If anything goes wrong, it can affect a variety of different electronic issues.
He's really shaking that steering wheel, really.
Remember, the tires are cold, so he's going to be searching for grip as well.
Guys, I just checked with Brad Kettler. He said when he stalled it on the way out, these cars are so electronically and computer controlled that it kind of creates a glitch, and you have to reset a lot of stuff if you want to get everything reset back to where it needs to be. They feel like Lucas Luhr's been able to do that, but you guys are telling me maybe it looks like the car is not quite up to speed yet. At any rate, that stall on the way out, was that what precipitated all of this, or was the computer problem what caused the stall? We'll have to wait and find out.
I think he's up to speed now, Brian. He's really fighting the steering wheel, just trying to search for grip as the tire pressures and temperatures come up, of course. You're not allowed to preheat the tires here in the American Le Mans Series. Works the traffic. He'll get back in a groove, but precious seconds there as he fights the sister car for the P1 lead, and also, of course, the P2 cars for the overall victory here today.
Yes, he was coming out of the pits. He was looking down, doing something in the cockpit, too, on top of it. So that must have been the reset process, possibly. And he's certainly up to speed at this stage. And here we go. Frankie Biela bringing the #1 Audi R10 TDI down in the pit lane from the overall lead. And so now we'll see just how much time that problem for Luhr cost him.
Long pit lane here. It cost you about 25 seconds in comparison with staying on the racetrack, plus the service here. Last race for Frankie, so this could be his last stint that we'll see him here this year. He'd love to keep racing. He doesn't want to retire, but it seems like his time with Audi may be up, and he's really been a great ambassador for them over the years, winning in different categories and many victories at Le Mans, including last year, along with this guy, Emanuele Pirro.
Taking a while for Biela to get out of the seat there. You saw that little bit of hesitation. Now, one of the things Lucas Luhr said is these restarts are hard on us without a lot of downforce, but especially hard on sticker tires. And that's exactly what Emanuele Pirro and Lucas Luhr have when they leave pit lane here. Galvin, you alluded to it. Not only are the tires cold, they don't have the proper pressures, and it takes a while for those pressures to build. Pirro out of pit lane, no stall here on track.
And that should get him in front of Lucas Löhr. That was a relatively clean stop. Lucas had a poor stop, so this should gain him position.
And Pirro is back out. Now, fan balloting for a wide variety of American Le Mans 10th anniversary activities continues on AmericanLeMans.com. Our year-long celebration of 10 years of the series will always involve the fans. That's AmericanLeMans.com. Great crowd on hand. We have more. They're going to enjoy it as well. Welcome back, everybody. An hour and 9 minutes remaining here in this fourth round of the American Le Mans Series, the Utah Grand Prix. And after the pit stops, there is your new leader, Timo Bernhard. Now, earlier I talked about the president and CEO of ALMS, Scott Atherton, being excited about the developments of this green challenge, which will be implemented. But he also, when we found him and talked to him, said just implementing it is producing some interesting challenges of its own.
Biggest challenge we're facing is taking a very complex set of circumstances, calculations, and be able to make it easily understood, easily followed by not only our teams, but more importantly our race fans that are at the site or watching on TV. And I think you could say that the green challenge is going to come down to two very important factors. One will be fuel efficiency, and number two will be greenhouse gases, harmful gas emissions. So we're confident that we can put a formula together that can give us actual real-time results so that when that checkered flag falls, we'll have a winner of the race and we'll have a winner of the green challenge, and we'll know both simultaneously.
And of course, it's a complex formula, but basically, here's what it is. You have performance efficiency coefficient, a petroleum displacement coefficient, and then greenhouse gas, how much you emit, and it's all tabulated together. Then it's all referenced to the top finishing car. The lowest score wins the green challenge.
And the key is when the checkered flag falls, they will know the result at the same time. And that's going to be great for the fans, and certainly has piqued a lot of manufacturers' interest as well.
Global leader, Green Racing, the American Le Mans Series. It is really remarkable what this group is doing. And here we go. Timo Bernhard in the Penske Porsche finds himself out front. Remember, he was your pole qualifier. Overall, a lot has unfolded since the start of that race. And but he's just stayed with it, as has the team. And right now, those Penske Porsches running 1-2.
He's in great shape here. They did take a pit stop when we had that caution period a little bit earlier. So I think the determinant factor here in terms of how long he'll stay in the car, he can't afford to run more than 2 hours. We've got an hour and 7 minutes left in this race, an hour and 37 in. So within 23 minutes, he needs to get out of that car. And I think they'd have more fuel than that. So it should be a short fuel fill as well. So Penske really working the magic. And remember, those guys had 8 victories in a row, which was finally broken there with that brilliant victory by David Bradman, Scott Sharp with the Patron car at Long Beach. So if they win this one, it would be 9 out of 10. Still a pretty good score. Not too shabby at all. And
I have to say, you know, one of the important things about this, Porsche also in this, obviously, you know, one of the keys is to let people know about the success of Porsche racing. And a guy that's been missing from the press room immensely here is Bob Carlson. He's the manager of Motorsports Public Relations and Brand Heritage for Porsche Cars North America, dealing with some health issues. And he's doing okay, but we sure miss him. And just wanted to say, hurry back, Bob. Your presence is certainly missed, as is your great sense of humor. And I hope you're enjoying the run by your guys today. And speaking of guys who have a great sense of humor, there's 2 of them down in the pits, Ryan Till and Frank Biela.
Frank Biela, great run today. Put that Audi out in front. What are the conditions like on the track right now?
Very good. I mean, the car is running well, balance is good. It's really hot and tough. But we were expecting those conditions, and I think we found a very good setup. The car feels okay, and I was happy with my first stint.
There's an ugly rumor going around that we may not be seeing Frankie Biela in an R10 much more this season. What can you tell us on that?
Unfortunately, this ugly rumor is true. I mean, I signed for those 3 races and for them all. This is the plan, and I'm really sorry. It's a fantastic championship, and I would like to come back. I would like to do more racing over here. It's a great thing, and I will miss all the people around, that's for sure.
Well, we'll miss Frank Biela too if he doesn't come back. We'll keep our fingers crossed, and we hope we see him some more.
Absolutely, he's a great addition to the paddock. A lot of fun to talk to. 5-time Le Mans winner. I mean, that pretty much says it all. But what we forget about sometimes is prior to all the success of these sports cars, he was just dominant in touring cars.
He was. He has such a great heritage with Audi. I'd be surprised if they let him go totally. I'm sure they'd want to try and keep him underneath their umbrella in some ways. But right now, this #1 car is certainly being put through its paces right now by Pirro. He leads the P1 brigade, currently 3rd overall. And understand that the 6th car of Sasha Masson is very close to a pit stop. He currently runs 2nd, so that would certainly elevate Pirro up 1 spot.
Pirro, of course, a lot of the success Frankie has had at Le Mans and in the American Le Mans Series is compared with the energetic Italian.
Two totally different personalities, as we know, but they work. They have great chemistry, and that's what it's all about to be successful.
And your leader in the GT2 category, Wolf Hensler, has come into the pits. We should see a driver change unfolding, I would think, at this point, certainly. And that should be York Bergmeister.
Okay, all clear, all clear.
Every time they stall, your heart just goes right to the throat, doesn't it?
These boys have got a great run here going today. Had a dominant car at the beginning and caught that break with the pace car and done everything right so far. So they're certainly looking for their 2nd victory of the season. Meanwhile, the Penske boys are in. Brian.
Sasha Masson climbing out behind the wheel. Patrick Long getting in. Now Patrick felt like he had a lap in qualifying that would have put him on the front row. He said, I'm not sure I can do much better than that. And then he looked at it and realized he was back in like 5th. And he said, man, it is so competitive in this prototype class right now. Every moment, every second that you're in the car, you got to be giving it 110%. That's what he will do. Fuel is in. The tires will be going on. This should be their last stop, but I checked in with the Audi guys for both Pirro and Lucas Luhr. They're either going to need an extended yellow or they'll need a splash at the end. So the battle for the overall victory could happen right here in pit lane. Patrick Long back on track.
Key there for the 7 car was they just flashed by, put this car down a lap, because first one in and can get to the finish really has a big advantage, because if you see a caution, the pits close, and that means everyone else has to wait for their final pit stop till it opens back up. So Penske got a split strategy going on, but everything looking good for those boys.
And even though Pat Long may not have qualified quite where he had hoped, all he had to do was watch his race, that stint he put in at Long Beach, when he went from 4th into the lead and just checked out for a while. You know, Pat Long, when it comes time for that green flag to drop in the race, is something special indeed. And Timo Bernhard, as you pointed out, now finds himself out there very much, but he's got to stop to me.
He certainly does, but remember, Pat Long didn't get any seat time at Sebring. Their car broke early, and here we see one of the other Flying Lizard cars in the number 46 car, who are also having a tremendous run. Currently holding down the 2nd spot. Johannes van Overbeek did a tremendous job there in the early going, and this man, Pillay, who they put in, has shown some tremendous speed also this year.
Both of these Flying Lizard cars should be good to go to the end. I talked to Tommy Sadler just a little while ago, and he said we needed 15 minutes to get to our window. They're 5 minutes into their window, so this team good to go. 4 fresh Michelins and Pillay back on track in that RSR.
Yeah, this young rookie, I mean, that qualifying lap he put in at Long Beach for pole was stunning. And then at the end of the race, the charge he put on when he came up behind Wolf Hensler, and while Hensler was trying to race the 71 Ferrari, and Pillay was just bothering Hensler immensely. This guy is something else. I mean, he destroyed the French Carrera Cup championship, but you know, okay, you make the step up to this level, oh boy.
He is just playing fast. The whole team are very impressed with him. And here we see Timo Bernhard pits from the lead. 1 hour, 1 minute plus left to go. They should be good on fuel. And Romar Dumas going to see if he can get this one to the finish and see that checkered flag first. He was very frustrated at Long Beach. I spoke to him. He said, we had electronic problems. The traction control wasn't working. The dash wasn't working. We only changed 2 tires. He wasn't crying about it. He just expects to win.
This needs to be a perfect pit stop. It could be won or lost here on pit road. They came in with the lead, and remember, both Audis will have to have a splash of that all-important diesel to get them to the checkered flag or extended caution. We've not seen many cautions here today, and you don't get a lot here at the Motorsports Park. Come on, back on track.
So much space here, as you point out, Brian, that car goes off. You know, it can be attended to as he comes back on, and Pirro is by. So Pirro will pick up the lead. Boy, Pirro sure would have liked to have gone around that AGR car right there, but that didn't happen, so this will be fun to watch.
Remember, though, we've got over an hour left. I don't think the Audi can do an hour. I think they can do 50 to 55 minutes, so unless we see some yellow, they may need a splash of fuel. That may give the lead back to the Penske boys.
Calvin, that's exactly right. That's what Brad Kettler has said. You know, on those last two stops for both Lure and Pirro, he said, there's no way we can do it. We need yellow. I said, how much? How many laps? And he said, it's going to have to be a long one. Otherwise, we're going to have a splash, without a doubt.
And that's the strange feature right now that we're seeing, is because the Audi has the diesel technology, better fuel efficiency, their fuel tank was effectively reduced by 10% last year. They only carry 81 liters as opposed to 90, and it means that their fuel stint is not as long. So they've got tremendous power, of course, but you know, the fuel stop itself takes the same amount of time. They've had some adjustments there, but right now they cannot stay on track as long as the Penske boys, and that really throws a curveball at your strategy for a race like this.
I was going to say, quite the conundrum for the Audi folks. Do you conserve and hope for the yellow, or do you just drive as hard as you can, try and build up a lead that'll survive a stop or a splash and go? We're going to be finding out. Welcome back, everybody. Or if you're just joining us, here's a look at what's unfolded thus far. At the start, it was the Penske Spiders on the front, but not by the time they got to turn one. Not only the two Audis, but John Field in the Intersport AER Lola, absolutely breathtaking in his run to the front.
He really was, and then we see him start to fade just a little bit. Wasn't the tires going away, but certainly Diaz had to take a bit of evasive action there. And a little bit later in the run, John Field turns it around down into the hairpin.
Meanwhile, other action up front. Watch this. Scott Sharp trying to make a move underneath one of the Dyson cars, loses it, gets collected by the Andretti green car, but comes back out, should be able to get into the 70% and some points. Meanwhile, the number 20 of Butch Leitzinger, big ride off the track and then coming back on, turned in. Don't think he even realized that Fernandez was there, and they clunked each other pretty good. Then an off here for the 87 Farnbacher Lowell's Porsche that had been right in the hunt in the GT2 category. And then just a few minutes ago, the Penske Porsche from the overall lead pitted, and Pirro in the Audi back on point and in P1. But some interesting developments there is whether or not, well, these Penske Spiders can catch the Audis. Brian Till.
Well, we just saw both of those Penske Spiders come into pit lane. You take on that last load of fuel. I'm sure you've been watching the guys next door. You think they're going to have to splash before the end, Roger?
Well, you know, we wanted to run as long as we could. That's why we pitted early in the race. And I think, we're positioned in decent shape, but, you know, it's a long way to go yellows. We'll see what really happens, but we're in good shape right now.
I know it's important for one of these yellow cars to finish first, but we're sitting down here on the 6 pit box. Do you guys have anything up your sleeve for the boys next door in the 7 car?
Well, I think we're running as a team. I can tell you this, 7 cars running great, and what we're trying to do is just stay right in their draft.
7 cars running great, but you know that this guy sitting on this pit box wants to take the victory, guys.
Oh, without a doubt, but I think as long as it's yellow, says DHL and Penske on the side, if it wins, he's going to be happy, and that's what they would like to see. But they do have to get around if they want the overall win. Emanuele Pirro in the Audi. Jan Magnussen leads in GT1, looking good for the 3 car once again. And that's been a good intra-team battle that we've been following all season long. They're at War 2. We'll be right back. The Advance Auto Parts World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series returns to the dirt track at Lowe's Motor Speedway this Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. See defending champion Donnie Schatz, King of the Outlaws Steve Kinzer, and all of the other superstars in the greatest show on dirt. World of Outlaws racing from Charlotte Friday night at 8 Eastern, exclusively on Speed. And here is a look at Emanuele Pirro, your overall and P1 leader in the number 1 Audi R10 TDI. But we're hearing that there is a possibility that they may be coming in very soon for a splash and go. I mentioned that conundrum. What do you do here? And it looks, though, Cal, as if they're in their window, they want to pit at least one of them early. Well,
the whole key here is, Greg, is if you stay out hoping to catch a yellow, the pit lane is then closed, so you can't pit immediately. You're going to lose a ton of track position. The only thing that could happen is that we have a massive yellow that gets them back to the point they wouldn't need more fuel to get towards the end of the race. So that's really the key right now. Once you get to this point, about 50 minutes left, if they pit, they'll be able to get to the end of the race with the fuel they have on board.
Hey, Calvin, I just checked in down there, and what they're doing is they're going to split the strategies. We saw the one car come in and fill. Now he's got the rest of the race to chase down the overall leader. The two cars going to go. They're going to fish and hope for a lengthy yellow, which would get them to the end. So right now, Audi playing two strategies to try to run down the Porsche.
Well, I think that's a great move by those guys to do that. So, you know, they're just trying to play every angle. As we said, this is a game of chess, really working every strategy possible and giving yourselves a chance.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Now, of course, for Pirro, it is a very simple mission, and that is to drive as fast and extract everything out of this car that you can, and hope that you get a little help up front. Obviously, caution for them would not only help the other car, it would help them in terms of compressing everything back up, and then, of course, hoping for traffic where that Audi torque can play out. I mean, the variables, you talked about it at the top of the show. It's a game of chess, and a move now can change things laps down the road. That's the level that this is being played at.
And what Audi now needs, they do need a caution, because there's no way they're going to catch the Penske's. They need a caution so the pack closes up, then they can use that massive torque as we've seen on restarts before in the past to really vault them back into the lead. So they're behind the 8 ball right now, but they're still not out of it.
There's the 7 car. That's Dumas. That is your overall and P2 leader, but not that far behind him right now is Lucas Fleur in the other Audi, the number 2 Audi. And obviously Lucas would like to at least get in front, see what they can do. But the question is, how much fuel do you want to use doing that, or are they just planning, we either get a yellow or we're going to stop anyway, so just go for it. And as we're watching Dumas, who's putting together another one of his very quick runs, the gentleman who put that car in pole is with Brian Till.
Timo Bernhard definitely had his time out in front of the field today, and it's funny, Timo, a lot of people thought you guys should have dominated on the street courses, yet the Audi won, and you come here to this long track, you guys running out in front. Is it as much speed, or is it about strategy?
A lot is about strategy. I mean, when we have a clear lap, we can do pretty good lap times, because especially the first section with the quick corners, we're quite good. Our car handles very well, the RS Spider, and also in that chicane, for example, with the quick direction changes, the car is very good for that. But the rest comes down to the strategy, and at the moment the Penske team does a great job, and we're leading overall.
They got this car out in front, and remember, 2 years ago we saw one of these yellow DHL Porsche Spiders take the checkered flag, guys.
Oh yeah, and I mean, they did it with some great style and certainly some great direction from Roger Penske and the team, and they've got another good one going right here. And right now they lead overall, and they certainly lead in P2. Take a look at the standings, the top 5 in P2 right now. Dumas out front, but it's Pagenaud in the DeFerrin car, Patrick Long in the other Penske entry, Franchitti in the Dyson car, and Fernandez in the Lowe's machine. Just coming up on 45 minutes remaining here at the Utah Grand Prix, 4th round of the American Le Mans Series, Miller Motorsports Park, just outside of Salt Lake City. It is Romain Dumas in the yellow DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche Spider leading. And of course, one of the things, especially as a track gets grippy like this and a little bit dusty, tires are such a key thing. And it's time for a Michelin tire tip. Here's Brian Till.
Greg, tires are always important there. What put the power and the brakes and all of that to the ground. But when you come to a place like Miller Motorsports Park, very long and very fast, and today, very hot. You've got choices on tire compounds that you need to make. Long left-hand corners here are going to really wear the right side tire, so a lot of teams opting to go with a stiffer compound or harder compound on the right side of the car and a softer compound on the left side of the car. Other teams, hard compound in the back, soft compounds in the front. So when you look up and down pit lane, you'll see stacks and stacks of tires, probably more than you see at any other race weekend, and it's all about the options and the choices that these teams have to make. Michelin gives these teams the options, they choose, and they hope that their choice takes them to the checkered flag.
All right, Brian, thanks very much. And the 62 Ferrari, again, problems for this car. It had worked its way up into a potential podium position, was closing in maybe even on second spot, and is now off the track. And Mello, the door opening, and is he looking at getting out? And where he is, that's a potential yellow as well. Let's watch it.
There we see it coming down into the black rock hairpin. Wow! Got some air there as he clouded the LG Corvette. Didn't look like the Corvette moved his line, so I'm not sure what was going on there with Mello behind the wheel. There we see him looking to the inside. Just looked like he misjudged it.
It sure does.
Wow, and after Sebring, remember he made that banzai move down at the hip and at Sebring that really got this team behind the 8 ball for the season. The 28 continues, Jamie.
The 62 Risi Ferrari, that car is going to Le Mans. The crew only has 3 days to get it prepped and on a plane to Las Vegas, where it's going to then connect to London. These guys are told, do what you have to do to finish on the podium, get a good result, but do not crash. We cannot afford it today.
Oh, that tells the tale right there. A look at the Risi crew and a lot of heads looking down and obviously very, very dismayed by what they're seeing. And that was just kind of a bizarre.
It was very bizarre because, I mean, I didn't see any violent move by the Corvette there, so hard to understand what was going on in that situation. But the end result is contact. Jamie talked about this car going to Le Mans. Don't think that took that big a hit. It should be bolt-on stuff. It's not like the chassis would have got into. So Lou Gelati was behind the wheel of the Corvette, and I don't think he really did anything wrong.
No, the only thing it looked like was obviously the right front end got the suspension broken, like you said, bolt-on stuff, and there is Lou Gelati. And we talked about at the top of the show, and Jamie told us lost some weight, got a weight break as well, and then you had Eric Kern behind the wheel, and starting to see it. You know, when Bill Riley designs a chassis, it's going to be pretty good, and they're just working on it right now. As we go up front, Simon Pagenaud in the DeFerrin Motorsports Acura is now 2nd overall, 2nd in P2. He got around Lucas Luhr while all of that incident was unfolding, and Pagenaud is flying right now.
He is absolutely flying. We talk about the team being so impressed with this young man. His 24th birthday is today, and just a short while ago, he passed Lucas Luhr for overall position.
Got it from the helicopter shot, Cal.
There we see, coming through that infield section there, turn 6 and 7. That's Lucas Luhr right there to the right side. And then you see slow coming off this corner, got a little bit wide. Pagenaud takes advantage, and then Lucas Luhr attempts to come back at him, and there was no way through. On board with Pagenaud, tight right-hander. See Luhr, he's a little bit wide. He's out on the gray stuff, doesn't have the grip. Pagenaud tucks the Acura down on the inside, immediately takes the position.
One problem that this DeFerrin Motorsports team is having right now in their maiden voyage is that they have lost all radio communication with Pagenaud at this time. The crew is taping up messages on the sign that they had here in pit lane. First they asked him, do you need tires? Flash your lights. He flashed the lights. They put it back out that just said tires. This crew is setting up to come in and give him a fresh set.
I'll tell you what, he may be, there are some issues, but Pagenaud is unbelievable. He just turned a 34 flat and has taken the overall race lead. There he is, and behind him is Romain Dumas in the Penske Porsche Spider. Pagenaud, I guess when DeFerrin said our secret weapon is in the car right now, and Pagenaud is proving it, an unbelievable 2 laps.
He really has. He's got the hammer down, but he will not make it without fuel here, so he will need a further pit stop, as Jamie said, and he'll take tires then. So Penske will know this. They will have radio through to Romain Dumas. This may be for position right now, but this man needs to stop. Let him through if he starts to put the pressure on. Think of the big picture.
And speaking of big picture, how about big moves? Pagenaud and DeFerrin, 23 spots they made up from where they started. And here was the pass for the lead, Cal.
Here it is down the long front straightaway. We talk about the Acura seeming to have a little bit more straightaway speed this year. Some of it is power, certainly some of it is the aerodynamics of that new chassis. They really fine-tune that and find out what sort of balance they're looking for. Great job down on the inside, smooth sailing. Romain realizes that this man needs to pit. He didn't fight him too hard.
Yeah, he really didn't defend him at all, did he? Just let him go, and as you said, think about the big picture, but it certainly is an impressive run. We're seeing a 33.6 by Pagenaud. He is flying. Now, relive the excitement of last year's American Le Mans Series season with the 2007 Series Yearbook. It's available now. It's a top-quality publication. It features more than 450 photographs. Log on today at AmericanLeMans.com to order your copy of the 2007 American Le Mans Series Yearbook. It's a keeper. You know, Larry Miller doesn't only own a great racetrack, he is a car collector and a phenomenal selection of Fords. There's some unbelievable machinery in here, including the car that was on the podium at Le Mans in 1966, a Sebring winner from 1970, and the first ever Cobra, a huge Cobra collection, and it's all in the museum right here on the grounds at Miller Motorsport Park. So if you come here to watch your race, give yourself a little extra time to pop into that museum.
You heard the word there, pit, pit. So next lap around, we expect Simon Pagenaud to come in. So we're not sure that he's hearing that radio communication. We understand that Gilles de Ferran may be hopping over the wall to try and assist in fixing that radio scenario. Just like in a driver change, he's allowed to do that. The amount of men over the wall is limited to do the tires and fuel, so that driver can be an assist.
Meanwhile, there you see Dumas, who, considering the Pagenaud pit stop coming up, is an Accenture erstwhile race leader, and there's Lucas Luhr right behind him. But Luhr also, unless something happens in terms of a yellow, is going to need a big pit stop. And boy, Dumas, I thought he moved over just to let Luhr go through because he didn't want to argue with him knowing he had to pit as well, but it wasn't quite the case. But Luhr is definitely just trying to find a way by in a hurry here.
We believe that Luhr will need a splash of fuel here to get to the checkered flag this afternoon. So Romain will have all of these calculations being done for him by the team sitting on the pit box, who have this mass of computers to work through all of the possible scenarios, and they will know that Lucas Luhr last pitted some 24 laps ago and will not be able to get to the finish here at this rate.
Pagenaud still throwing down some very quick laps, but that's going to come to naught as he brings that car in.
Look at John for the sign. Look at John for the sign.
When they hit that stripe, they have to be down to 60 kilometers an hour. That's 37 miles an hour when you've been running about 180. That feels like you come to a standstill.
And there goes Dumas, picks up the overall lead. Jamie.
Simon Pagenaud has his car in pit lane. No work can be done on the car while they're fueling. They are giving him a splash. Simon's giving the thumbs up. The radio is plugged back in. He did get that sign saying pit now, pit now. The crew is going to put on a fresh set of tires. Jill was going to go over the wall. He has his helmet on, prepared to do what Simon says. Everything is just fine.
Well, they decided to do tires, I guess. If you're going to do it, throw the tires on and give yourself the best grip you can and hope, huh?
Well, I think there may have been some miscommunication there because Simon did not look very happy in the cockpit, and I think they tried to decipher if he needed tires, flash your lights, but that can be misinterpreted. So we saw a sign there with the crew saying tires, meaning don't go, you're going to get some tires as well once that refueling's done. So the driver was aware, but he did not seem to be happy. It was either his drinks bottle he was looking for or certainly didn't want tires.
When you turn in 132.8, I don't know that the tires seem to be pretty good, so we'll see what's happening, and we're just a little bit over 33 minutes remaining. Dumas back in front, Luhr leads in P1, but we anticipate a stop from him. Magnussen leading in GT1, and Bergmeister well clear in GT2. We are fast approaching the final 30 minutes of this fourth round of the American Le Mans Series here at the Utah Grand Prix. Romain Dumas leads overall and in P2. Lucas Luhr right behind him leads in P1, second overall. But we've got some great battling going on in the GT2 category behind the leaders. The number 45 entry still has himself a very comfortable lead. Jörg Bergmeister, by virtue of a nice break with a safety car, and the team playing the strategy game perfectly, find themselves well up.
Yeah, they're doing a brilliant job here today, and this is what they need, a good, clean run. This is also one of the teams that are heading off to Le Mans. They have to pack up one of their race cars. They believe they may send the 44 chassis, but they're going to wait and see what was really in the best of shape after this race here in Salt Lake City before making that decision. But they have a lot of work to do. A couple of days, they'll be shipping all their stuff over to Le Mans, and they'll be based there for around 3 weeks.
Now you're looking at a possible battle starting to shape up for second. Here's Dirk Mueller, who has put in two unbelievable drives in the two street circuits leading into this round in that 71 TAFEL Motorsports Ferrari. And right here is your third place car, Dirk Werner, behind the wheel of the Marquis Jet. That's the Farnbacher-Lowell Porsche, and they have been in it here certainly today, looking very competitive indeed and putting in a very solid run. this is for the podium. He is sitting in third right now. Mueller in that Bell Micro Ferrari sits in second. Again, well back of the overall leader in the class. So it was almost up by a lap. But these two guys, they've raced each other before.
They have, and they're doing a great job here battling one another. And Tony Dowd told me from TAFEL Racing this weekend that we're really in, you know, we got the championship lead. That changes your strategy a little bit. You don't have to push quite as hard. So they realized they caught a bad break with the 45 car getting that essentially a lap ahead of them. They're just trying to focus on getting the best place they can, which would be the runner-up position, and currently they hold it. Both those guys within a lap of one another, about 28, 29 laps on this stint. It's going to be marginal for those boys to make it to the finish without a splash.
Here's a look at the local favorite, that red number 48 Ferrari, the Alabama Motorsports Echo West Corsa entry. And here is the number 40 Pilati Ford GT. And of course, it's the retro look back to the old Ford GT40s that had such success. Saw a couple of them in the museum collection here. And Dave Murray started it. Dave Robertson behind the wheel. Oh, we have a report. The number 2, Lucas Luhr, just had a spin. Oh, and he's got a low right rear.
He does. You see the diagonal crossweight there. It lifts up the left front wheel. These cars are so stiffly sprung. When you lose air, he's wiggling the car around. He'll be trying to determine exactly what's going on. Be interesting to see a look at this to see whether this was contact which cut down the tire or the cut tire took him off the racetrack. We've seen him in close battle here with a number of cars this afternoon, and he just loses it coming out of the attitudes. I would assume the tire's already down as he collects it, and there's no contact with anyone else. So really heavy G-load. You're committed as a driver coming through there. And one of the great and unique aspects of this racetrack, there's not very much to hit out here. So good, safe racetrack. He needed a splash of fuel. Other than being a little bit slow getting back to the pits, it will not hurt them too badly.
Just sort of made that
determination
pit stop. Yeah. It's going to happen now. And he got away with it, certainly. Now they get in, they'll put tires on. And Brian Till is waiting.
Lucas slides to a stop. The crew will go to work. Hopefully no damage that tire's caused. The one great thing about the Michelins, we don't see them come apart when they go down, and that is a great point, because a lot of times you'll see a tire go down, lose the air, and the tread will come off and act like a saw blade and take the bodywork off. The Michelin's known for not doing that. They'll get 4 new tires, the fuel that he needs. He'll be back on track. As we said, he needed this splash anyway. It's not the way he wanted to come to pit road, though, guys.
Not at all. He accelerates out. There is the tire that perhaps caused the issue. I'm sure it will be looked at very closely, and Lucas Luhr back out. Fuel, tires, but way, way back and in need of some serious help for a win here at Miller Motorsports Park today. But they are back and at it right now. And, you know, one of the things as we watch him getting back into speed in America Le Mans Series weekend, there is certainly great sports car racing, but it's not just sports car racing. There is also superb open wheel racing that is highlighted. And yesterday we saw the second round of the Star Mazda Championship unfold here at Miller Motorsport Park. After an opening lap shut, back in the pack and a caution flag on the restart, the blue and black car of Joel Miller makes a move to the inside, ducked underneath pole sitter John Edwards, but Edwards picks up the toe, ducks to the inside, watch for Miller, gets a little bit loose right there, cost him a lot of momentum, and Edwards went through, and for Miller, he started to drop, went back to the 8th spot, but he mounted a charge. Here, ducks underneath, picks up 5th spot. And he was not done yet, really dropping the hammer, comes up on Ernesto Otero, ducks to the inside once again. That was for 3rd in a podium spot, but that was all he was going to get. Meanwhile, up front, Edwards absolutely stomped the field. A big margin of victory by Star Mazda Championship standards, and went on to a dominant win. Very happy celebration on the cool-down lap, and there was an awful lot of celebration as well on the victory stand. Some great racing here at Miller. We'll be back with more right after this. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Mazda. On any given weekend, there are more Mazdas road raced than any other brand. Welcome back, everybody, and in the last 5 minutes it has gone wrong for the Audis. First of all, Luhr, now Pirro, and you can see off to the edge of the track, and the driver is out. And Cal, here's what happened.
Here we see it. We call it knockout corner, and we're going to see a great version of that as Pirro is working his way through traffic, got the hammer down. That's the GT40 right in front of them, and there you see the contact, but look to the left there. There's a Dyson car on the outside, and I think maybe the GT40 saw the Dyson car, tried to give him room. Pirro wasn't expecting that car to tighten up. Let's take a look. Dyson to the outside. GT40 sees it, and Pirro was needing a little bit more room. So whether Emanuele unwound the wheel, expecting the GT40 to use more of the racetrack. One of those racing incidents when you're dealing with different classes using the same piece of racetrack.
Yeah, it was Marino Franchitti in the number 20 with a heart in the throat moment as the airborne Audi went blitzing by in front of him. Nice piece of driving by Marino to avoid it.
This is the last thing that this man needed. Romain Dumas, I mean, he has the lead, had a nice comfortable lead, but now it's all going to be packed up. And remarkably, the accident for the Audi, we'll have to see where Lucas Luhr is stacked up in terms of track position. Right now he's 5th place overall, but with the power that we see that thing display down the front straightaway, if he's in within a sniff of this front-running car when we go back to green.
I'll tell you what, Cal, it's 21 minutes as you see, 30 seconds to go, and we're not seeing yellows yet.
Yeah, this is surprising. I said as we go back to green, we're staying green, so...
And it goes from bad to worse as you watch the 37. That's Richard Berry behind the wheel with a spin, but we get a report now that Luhr might be getting a stop and go for contact, and apparently there was some contact that may have been involved with that tire issue. And here's what they're dealing with right now, and this is what happened to Luhr and caused that flat tire.
Oh, we had a flat right rear on Lucas Luhr. Let's try and see what happens to that car a little bit earlier on during that lap. Here we see working through traffic as 2 corners before he goes off. Right there, forces his way by the LG Corvette, hits him, that cut down the tire immediately. He spins it around, and the officials have now made a call that was dangerous driving, and he's going to get a stop and go. And that could be crucial. That will cost him the track position he may have needed if we should go yellow to be in a position to take advantage on a green flag run here. But right now, track stays green. They feel that Pirro's car is far enough away from the action. It's safe to leave it there.
Boy, that 28 Corvette in the last third of this race has turned into a pinball.
It really has, and that's too bad. They had a great run going here today, and it's a pretty strong race car. They take a lot of hits, and they're still out there.
Watching Luhr, and up front of him is David Brabham. Keep in mind that number 9 PATRON car that won in Long Beach. Now, many laps back after that incident, the repair, it took a long time to fix, but at least they're going to be able to get 70% and some points. Oh, and Luhr squeezing by there right as Brabs was turning in. So, well, it's certainly interesting here at the late going.
It really is, and these boys just trying to get points here today. Scott Sharp had the incident down in turn 1. They had to replace that rear corner on the race car, so just trying to get some points here, stay in the hunt. They were 2nd place in points coming in. With a big lead over 3rd, they may be able to hang on to that here today with some sort of finish. Frustrating for a driver, though, when you know you're many laps behind. David was so frustrated after qualifying yesterday. He was just a sniff, like 1/4 of a second off the pole. There was an electronic issue on the car. It wasn't running right. He said, boy, I had a car to do it. He wanted another pole position. He's won one in every class in the American Le Mans Series history. He's also now won in every class as well. Just a dynamic driver from Australia.
Amazing achievements he has had in a very good career as we ride on board with him. By the way, it's Dumas over long as we watch the number 2 Audi of Luhr coming in for his penalty. And this is really just going to put pain to any hopes they had of anything substantial. Obviously, they'll do okay in the P1 category with points, but, you know, they're also obviously interested in the overall situation, and this is going to take them out of really any hope of it, not to mention the long run down the pit lane.
Yeah, it's 25 seconds that you lose by coming down pit lane, so this will just put more salt in the wounds today for the Audi boys. They really felt they had a good car here today, qualified so much closer to the front-running pace here this weekend than they did when they've seen victory here before, so they felt they were in good shape, but it just didn't turn out their way.
All right, in the American Le Mans Series charts a return visit to the fast and historic Lime Rock Park in Connecticut on July 12th for the Northeast Grand Prix. You can see the race live on Speed. Don't miss it. Here's a look at your class leaders in the 4 classes, and right now, folks, it is P2 in the top 9 spots. The glitz, glam, glamour, and celebrity power of Monaco sets the backdrop for one of the greatest races in all of motorsports. Formula One Monaco Grand Prix next Sunday, live 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 4:30 a.m. Pacific, right here on Speed. What a season is unfolding in Formula One. Just some amazing stuff, and there's also a little event that happened recently in Monaco, and let's get more from Brian Till.
Well, we certainly know that the HIGHCROFT boys took the victory at Long Beach, but what you may not know is you're looking at the winningest driver ever at Monaco, Duncan Dayton. 2 victories last time you were there. How sweet is that to think that you've got more victories than any other driver who ever has run at that racetrack?
It's great. It's a real thrill. I mean, it's such a wonderful racetrack and such a great venue, and it's just a privilege to be able to run around in those old cars. It was particularly sweet this time because I was driving 1970 Brabham BT33, Jack's car that he drove the last year of his career, and he crashed in the last corner when he thought that he was getting caught by Rent, and Rent sailed by and won it. If he had gotten those points, he would have won the World Championship later that year, but I was able to bring the car home in first place, so it was kind of fun.
Well, I know that you've got a lot of duties now with the LMP2 program here with Acura, and Calvin wanted me to tell you that if you get tired of going over there and you don't have the time to do it, he'll be glad to take your place.
Well, they don't let me play with this toy anymore, so I got to play with the ones that I do have.
Sorry, Cal.
Yeah, I know. But he is certainly a great driver. I mean, we know that you had the 3rd driver spot last year and certainly held up his end of the stick at Sebring last year. But when you look at these wins, Greg, just phenomenal. Look at the names below him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just in the Formula One equipment he was driving, I mean, a 70 Brabham, a 59 front-engine Lotus. He's driven all kinds of cars there and usually with success. And let's note, these last 2 wins came from pole.
Yeah, it's great stuff. He loves going over there and got 2 this year, taking that total to 7. And I'm sure that won't stop there. Look for double digits, I think.
Oh, I think there's no question of that. Of course, he's a little frustrated with how things have unfolded today for the number 9 PATRON Acura. That is still out there, though, and that's the game thing. I mean, you know, after the successes they've had this season, that second in class at St. Pete, the win at Long Beach, they're well placed in the points. And so when you have an incident like that, you fix it, you get back out, and you accrue whatever points you can. Because as he pointed out, had Brabham not crashed and ended up in 6th or whatever it was once he got going again, he'd have won the championship. You never give up on it. If you can score the points, you go for it.
And look at Brabham there, threading his way through. They're still learning. They'll look at the setups and they'll be getting feedback from David on what the car's doing. So it's not just trundle around to see the checkered flag. You keep pushing hard, and that's what Gilles de Ferran said earlier today. We didn't want to be involved in any incidents. We just want to run our race and learn. And Acura is certainly learning fast, trying to chase down these boys.
Yeah, these boys are doing an awfully good job right now. Dumas and Long 1-2, about 30 seconds between those 2 Penske cars. But the star right now, as de Ferran said, the secret weapon is Simon Pagenaud on a clear track. As you just saw, he a couple laps ago turned a 1-minute 32.8 second lap. That is about 3 seconds faster than anybody else has been running.
But I think these guys have certainly dialed it down a little bit. We've seen Dumas down in the high 32s as well. So it would have been a fascinating battle should we have seen that caution flown there when we saw the car off the racetrack, because I think Pagenaud certainly had some speed to take it to the Penske Porsches here today. So we're not going to see it unless we do see a caution from this point on, but certainly Penske will be taking note. They realize that Acura are coming, and they're coming fast on all types of racetrack, not just street circuits, permanent road facilities as well.
Here's a look at the 2nd place car, also one of the DHL Global Mail Penske Porsche RS Spiders. Pat Long in the number 6 car, who had that great stint at Long Beach in the opening part of the race. Led, or actually his entire stint, until he turned it over. And Long back behind the wheel, but as I said, some 30 seconds or thereabouts behind Dumas right now. And that was just a function of some strategy plays earlier in the going and how things worked out. And then behind Long, you've got Pagenaud. And Pagenaud has trimmed it now to 16 seconds. That's still a podium first time out for that team. Will be pretty impressive, certainly. But, boy, I'll tell you what, the speed he is showing, Pagenaud's pretty amazing. So here are your class leaders right now, and it's still Mags up front in the GT1 class and the Vet. So, and of course, up front it is still Bergmeister in GT2. Now we're closing in on the end, and Brian Till having way too much fun down there in pit lane. Welcome back, everybody, and as we're into the final 10 minutes of this fourth round of the championship, I want to remind you, On Speed, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, coming up live coverage Saturday, June 14th is when it begins, 8:30 a.m. to noon Eastern Time, and 9 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. Sunday, of course, right here on Speed and live. And then we will be back with the fifth round of the American Le Mans Series coming up Saturday, July 12th. It's the Northeast Grand Prix from Lakeville, Connecticut, the great Lime Rock Park. So got some good sports car racing coming at you here on Speed after this event for sure, as we are hopping on board here and getting a nice ride around Gerardo Bonilla behind the wheel of the number 8 Mazda entry right now. And, of course, we were talking about Marino Franchitti had that very close call when Pirro shot across his bows, the guy that started the cars with Brian Till.
Well, they've dodged some bullets today for sure, Greg. Butch, it's nice to see you and Marino gelling so well. The chemistry really seems to be working, and I'm not sure if the people at home know how important that chemistry is. How important is it that the two guys get along inside the car?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, this is probably the most... It's the most important in this form of racing, where you have to share everything, you know, and race drivers are not generally very giving people, you know. All we want to ever do is take. So, you know, you have to find someone that, you know, that likes the same things of the car that you do, and is willing to give on some things. And Marino's been great. You know, he's got good feedback, and we seem to like the same thing, so it's worked out really well.
Are his socks as good as James Weaver's?
He's working on it. Yeah, he's actually trying to make a statement. I think he started out pretty mundane, but he's getting more flamboyant by the hour.
He's getting there, and this team is back, guys. They're getting towards the front. We should see a victory, I think, by these guys probably sometime this year. It'll be great.
Brian, I love it when you ask the important questions. But we're going to step away for our last break. When we come back, we will take you right to the checkered flag here in Utah. Under 5 minutes remaining here in the fourth round of the American Le Mans Series, the Utah Grand Prix at Miller Motorsports Park. There is your leader, Romain Dumas, in the Penske Porsche number 7. It's his teammate in second, Pat Long, about a half a minute back still, but Simon Pagenaud has closed up to inside 10 seconds to Pat Long. What a great comeback drive after that splash of fuel that they had to pick up and also put tires on the car. And he has been really fast, but running out of time is now 3 minutes, 45 seconds to go, and Dumas, well, looking awfully good.
He really is, and you talk about that 10 seconds, that's approximately what it takes to put tires on. So you hate to second guess yourself if there was a miscommunication there and Simon thought that the car would be good by staying on the same set of Michelin tires. You never know, that battle could be even closer, but they've certainly got the hammer down and certainly showing us what that 66 car can do for the rest of the season.
After the great overall win at Sebring, it's been a couple races of frustration certainly for Dumas and the Penske team, but looks like it's going to come good once again as we hop on board with De Veren's secret weapon, Simon Pagenaud, and he has been spectacular. Take a look at his lap time trend here as it drops down, and I mean, awfully quick, backs off a little bit of traffic certainly, but that does not reflect the fastest lap of the race, that 32.8 that he turned, and he has been nothing short of spectacular. I think maybe a star is born here in the American Le Mans Series.
Absolutely, celebrating his 24th birthday today. So what a way to be doing it, driving a really cool race car around a fantastic racetrack, and looking for a podium finish.
I think something that we really have to mention for him here is the simple fact about that this is his first race, multi-class racing. You know, I mean, he has handled everything thrown at him very well in dealing with traffic and the like. Pretty spectacular. And speaking of spectacular, we've got some amazing racing going on in the GT2 category. Again, Jörg Bergmeister has that big lead, but as there is Jörg leading right now, but there is some racing coming up. In fact, one of the cars he is coming up on right now, I believe, is that the 87 of Werner?
I think this is the 46 car. This is position. This is Pilet trying to make a move here.
And there's Jörg right behind him. Interesting radio transmission we heard a little while ago as Jörg came up. He's a little bit quicker than them, and he was saying, what should I do? And Pilet tries to swing around the outside of Werner, because obviously Jörg and he got him. What a move by Patrick Pilet.
And Werner's running wide. He didn't look like he wanted to come into the pits, and now he is.
Buddy. Nice job. You got him. You're P2. Just settle in. You got a minute and a half to go.
That was obscure. He's on pit lane, but it didn't look like he wanted to come initially, so maybe the engine coughed. A minute 23 to go, and maybe he just suddenly realized that he needed fuel.
Jamie?
This crew did bring the car in just for a 1 minutes on that first stint, but with no cautions in the second stint, they just had to.
Yeah, they looked surprised, Jamie. They weren't ready to go. So I think as Dirk came through those corners, high G-loads there, it takes the remaining fuel away from the pickup point in the fuel cell. He probably felt that and immediately dived for pit road, realizing it's a long lap here, I'm not going to make it.
And they have just given Romain Dumas the indication he is on his final lap. And once again, boy, they have played this out to perfection. Timo Bernhard on pole, obviously got jumped, was sitting back a little bit, but they played their strategy game very well.
And that's the key with Timo Bernhard. He does not panic. I mean, he was way down, 5th position. I mean, you're going to go full bore typically and just, man, I was leading this race, suddenly I'm way back in the pack. No, he's patient, he waits, he realized the race can come back to you, and that's what it's all about when you're going for a championship.
And boy, they have backed it off quite a bit here, running now in the 140s. Dumas knows that they've got a lot of time. And that's the thing, you know, you had Timo in the car. He's obviously very quick, put it on the overall pole, you know, got back a little bit, didn't panic. When they turned the car over to Romain, it was in mint shape. And two, you turned it over to another very fast driver. Go ahead, do what you need to do.
And he did the right thing. He realized that Simon Pagenaud was quicker at that point in the race than the pace he wanted to run. Just let him go. So he didn't fight it for position, didn't damage any bodywork. They just wanted that next victory. When you won 8 in a row and you lose one, that's a bad streak for those guys.
Oh, it certainly is. You know, as I said, frustration a little bit, but that's going to be erased here as he's working his way around. And it looks as though we're going to end up, the top 6 cars are going to be from the P2 category here at Miller Motorsports Park. Here he comes. And look at that, slowing down and enjoying the celebration under the flag. Nicely done by Penske once again. A great job by the team and by the drivers. Executed beautifully. And of course, we're going to be visiting with the winners of each of the classes when we come back here to Miller Motorsports Park. Dumas, P2 and overall, there are the winners in each of the classes. And we're going to come find them when we come back. Speed's coverage of the American Le Mans Series is brought to you by Audi. The truth is out, it's powerful, and it's available at your Audi dealer now. Audi, truth in engineering. And by John Deere. Deere season is going on now. Visit your John Deere dealer today. Wow, absolutely beautiful setting here, and we have seen an awfully good race, and here comes Dumas enjoying his cool-down lap as he's bringing the field down. He's doing some celebrating, and yeah, the top 6 cars, all P2. That's not a first, though. We just want to update you on that. Last year at Long Beach, the top 6 were all from the P2 category as well, but when you take a look at the increased level of competition and the closeness of the Audis this year, this, I think, is a pretty remarkable achievement, obviously. And look at Dumas. He is beside himself after 2 races where they late in the race lost the overall lead to get this one special.
It really is, and they did everything right, and it went wrong for a lot of other teams out there today. We saw 2 Acuras get hit down in turn 1, Sharp and Fittipaldi. That really took them out of the running. Pagenaud had a great run along with Gilles de Ferran, but the Penske organization, as always, don't get it wrong, Brian.
A lot of celebration going on down here. The only P2 team to finish on the podium every race. You guys, you take your 2nd overall victory for the year as well, and on a place where a lot of people didn't expect you guys to be able to win, Romain.
Well, it was a nice race, a lot of fun. A very good strategy from the team, we have to say. Thanks for the team, again, perfect job. And the last hour was very tough with Audi to big battle again, and it was very funny. And we won, that's the main target. We won the class again, and it was a good day today.
Congratulations on a great victory. They didn't expect them to win at Sebring either, but they did.
Well, they have a tendency to do that. So our P2 results, you take a look, and it was, as I said, the Penske cars doing a great job up front. But Pagenaud, his last lap, a 32.8 again. Pretty amazing. And for the 3rd time in 4 races, the number 3 Corvette has won. Jamie?
2 in a row for the number 3 car, but more importantly, this was your last test before going to Le Mans. Are you guys pleased with the results as you head in?
I'm really happy with the way the race went. For us was a final test before we head off to Le Mans. So this was well, it's just a really good race to test all these things. We couldn't really race each other like we normally did. It's too much space in between the cars, but I'm sure we learned a lot. And last year when we came from here, we were really strong at Le Mans. So I'm looking forward to going back.
All right, and those cars will be going back from Detroit on Wednesday, guys.
Yeah, that was one of the keys. Learn what you can, but keep the cars pristine to head over to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Boy, look at how busy that pit lane is. Now let's take a look at what happened in P1. And Werner and Luhr still won the class. Good for points with Brian.
Lucas Luhr climbs out of his Audi, the third victory for you this year, but not overall. It seems like the fuel consumption really bit you guys today.
First of all, the fuel consumption a little bit, and then also there's one slow guy in the Corvette which really shouldn't be out there, and he touched me in the back, and I got to stop and go for him being in my way, and we were fighting for overall. It's sometimes strange.
Happy with the victory, but not happy with the overall day, guys.
Yeah, understandable there. Now let's take a look at GT2, and again, Hensler and Bergmeister, a big win with a break early, but the action behind that, very, very fierce indeed, and enjoyed some great racing there. And let's get down to Jamie.
Jörg Bergmeister, another win for this Flying Lizard team, first since Sebring of this year. You guys led from flag to flag. Was it as easy as you made it look?
Well, Wolf did an awesome job at the beginning. I mean, we already knew this morning that the car was really good after we had warm-up. So I was already pretty happy with the car there, and Wolf had quite a big gap at the beginning after the first couple of laps, and we got a wave by, and I had a lap lead, so it was a real easy job for me today.
All right, and that easy job is just what these guys needed.
Well, and they executed it beautifully. Now in GT2, after 4 of 11 events, the points are Bergmeister and Hensler up front, but it's awfully close with the way that TAFEL Ferrari has been running. And the team cars, GT1, Mags and O'Connell, open it up again with another win. And it's just been that close. And the action, it should just be getting more and more intense as the year unfolds. And of course, we take a pause from the American Le Mans Series right now because there's this rather important race over in France.
Everyone's looking forward to that one, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. That eats up June, but we will be back.
You bet. And there you take a look at what the air times are for Le Mans. There is the air date for our next American Le Mans Series race, Saturday, July 12th. Of course, all of those live right here on Speed. So please do join us. Coming up next, MotoGP World Championship action from Le Mans, France. And that, too, on the Bugatti circuit is going to be an awful lot of fun to watch. So make sure you stay tuned. And thanks so much for joining us here at Miller Motorsports Park. For all of us here at Speed, thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, take care, everybody.